Welcome to the Dan Kasper Show.
What's up, everybody? Good morning and happy Tuesday, July 11th. Dan Kasper Show on the air. Radio dials, you got a couple of those at 105.1 FM, 790 AM. Also available online, sportstalk1051.com. Got your app, Google and Alexa home devices. Video stream up and rolling on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Appreciate you making us a part of your start on this July 11th, Tuesday morning. Hopefully you're up and at it and off to a good start. What do we got on the good old game plan here for this morning? MLB All-Star Game tonight. Garrett Cole going for the American League, getting the starts. Yankees, Zach Gallen from the Diamondbacks getting the start for the National League. Will you be watching? Is the All-Star Game for Major League Baseball your favorite All-Star game? I know we kind of have that question out there every once in a while whenever there's like the NBA All-Star, maybe a Pro Bowl. I don't think anybody's favorite might be the Pro Bowl, but there might be a few. You never know, especially with some of the youngsters and such. But how many of you will be paying attention, watching into the All-Star Game tonight? How many of you were into the home run derby last night? Is the home run derby still a must-watch event thing for you? Or is it kind of like, yeah, when I was younger, when I was a kid, all that stuff, yeah, that's more kind of my forte there. So, but how many of you were into it last night? How many of you actually remembered it was on last night? Because I was kind of perusing around the socials and such, and I noticed some people are like, oh, kind of forgot that thing was going on tonight. In case you missed it, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Won the home run derby last night. But is the home run derby still a thing for you? Is it still like a must-watch? As a kid, I mean, when I was younger, yeah, I love that thing. I was in tune to it. I was always playing the home run derby on the PS1, whether it was like Triple Play 97 or something like that. I was in tune to the home run derby, and honestly, it was probably my favorite thing as a kid to watch from all the different sports' all-star festivities. Yeah, slam dunk competition when it was good was up there for me. 3-point competition was up there for me. Not a whole lot of like stuff regarding the Pro Bowl, although I did love the, like some of the old school quarterback challenges. I like the long throws and such, seeing Farvey chucking it down there and such. But I'm curious if, as maybe an adult, if we have any adults listening, are you still into the home run derby? Do you still enjoy watching the home run derby? Or maybe you are like, a few years ago when they kind of changed the format and such, maybe I lost a little bit of it. Or maybe you actually liked it. Like, no, I enjoyed it a little bit more. Part of that, I've got my top 5 home run derby participants from 1990 to current. So if you want to play along with me and give me your top 5. We're going to go just from 1990 to current, okay? We're not going to do like create your all-time home run derby group or anything like that. I mean, because we'd probably be putting Hank Aaron in there, Babe Ruth, maybe Willie Mays and that sort of thing out there. So let's do top 5 players who have participated. Okay, that's the key. Players who have participated. Give me your top 5 best ones, or maybe just your top 5 favorite, or the 5 that you would love to see kind of battle it out. Or maybe it's just a mixture of everything out there. All right. So give me what you got. Give me what you got. So I got my little brain's gonna be mad. We're doing a top 5 without him there, but hey, home run derby last night. Duty calls over there. So let's throw a little baseball chat in this conversation. But I'm kind of curious how many of you still, is the All-Star game a must watch for you? Home run derby, is that still a must watch for you? I mean, I watched it a little bit last night, but it's definitely not like when I was a young one out there. So, and to be honest, I was like, oh, okay. But he might still be a little too young at that point. So, but we'll talk a little baseball. We're going to talk a little football, green and gold, as we are just a couple of weeks away from training camp opening up. Believe it or not, it's going to be here. I think a lot of people getting ready for football season. I saw Memorial had a little camp going on yesterday. I was heading home for some lunch and such. So getting close to that. I know we got some other youngsters getting ready for some camps and getting ready for the season and such. So it's approaching, and well, it's coming up here pretty darn quick for the green and gold. So with just a couple weeks to go here for the before training camp opens up here for the green and gold, I want to take a look at the NFC North and kind of do a look around here with both, not only just Green Bay, but throw in Minnesota, throw in Detroit, throw in Chicago. And I think there's one common theme amongst all 4 of those teams. I think there's one common theme, and maybe it could be the thing that separates who's going to win the division this year, because, I was kind of right at the end yesterday, kind of talking about it. Last couple of weeks, I've gotten a lot of questions about, like, how do I think the NFC North's gonna play out? And honestly, at this point, I have no flipping idea. I really don't. I mean, I know the Lions are the favorite. Kudos to the Lions. Minnesota, I mean, they won it last year. I wouldn't necessarily count them totally out, but they've lost some pieces. Zadarius gone. It's got Eric Kendricks gone. Dalvin Cook gone. Bringing in a new defensive coordinator, though, and Brian Flores. Obviously, we know what's going on with Green Bay. And then Chicago, they get DJ Moore in the offseason as part of that draft, trading the number 1 overall pick to Carolina, surrounding Justin Fields with a couple wide receivers with the Chase Claypool trade last year during the season. Second year under their new coaching regime. I think Bears fans are looking for, and the Bears themselves looking for, a positive step, a step in the right direction. But I think there's one common theme amongst all 4 of those teams right now, and maybe, just maybe, it will be the deciding factor on who is going to win the NFC North. Now, just because I don't really have a good gauge on the NFC North doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be a good division. It could be a division where a 9-win team, maybe even an 8-win team, maybe a team can get to 10 wins in this division, can wrap up that NFC North and clinch a playoff spot, get a home game over there. But if I had to put my money down right now, I would say it's probably not going to be a how do I want to phrase this? A division where it's like, oh yeah, you're going to have a team or a couple teams that are just going to be right at the top, kind of like an NFC East, maybe a little bit, where you got Philly, maybe Dallas battling it out. You got the Giants that made a postseason run last year too. It ain't like that. I don't think, at least at this point. But who knows? It could be just like that. We all thought the AFC West was going to be dang competitive last year with all the offseason moves that the AFC West went about, and it was still the Chiefs. Chiefs still got it done, win the Super Bowl. Denver, not even close to expectations. Raiders didn't get to the postseason after the Devontae Adams trade. Chargers did make it, then fell apart in the second half in the first round of their game against Jacksonville, and like we said, the Chiefs won it. I think maybe this year that division could be the AFC East. That there's a lot of hype and hoopla around. Obviously, with what the Jets are doing with the Aaron Rodgers trade, we already know Buffalo's in there. Got a little drama maybe there with the Diggs situation. Miami making some moves that started off last year. Mike McDaniel, second year. They bring in Vic Fangio as their defensive coordinator. And then we'll see what the Patriots can do this year. Can they be a little bit of a spoiler for some of these teams? So I think the AFC East is probably kind of similar to, the hype that the AFC West got a little bit last year. But just because of all that hype doesn't necessarily mean it's going to live up to the hype, because as the AFC West showed us this past year. So, but we'll get to a little NFC North talk coming up here just a little bit later on. We'll catch up with RJ Cardinal, our Badger analyst, coming up at about 8:25 this morning. We mentioned it yesterday that he was suspended, but now Pat Fitzgerald, Northwestern head football coach, fired last night amid the hazing claims going on within the football program. So we've got, according to ESPN, their defensive coordinator, David Braun, is expected to be named the head coach right now. But Pat Fitzgerald, a coach that has been, rumored over the last few years, maybe potentially moving on to a bigger gig. Remember when Green Bay had fired Mike McCarthy? He was a name right away. There was reports saying that he was the favorite. That's Mark Murphy, obviously with his Northwestern ties, wanted to bring Pat Fitzgerald aboard to be the new head football coach for the Packers, but Pat Fitzgerald electing to stay at Northwestern. Green Bay moving on and grabbing, or I should say, hiring Matt LaFleur. So, but shake up in the college football world, Big Ten over there too. But we'll talk to RJ Cardinal about that and the latest going-ons there. We'll catch up with the Express coming up a little past 8 o'clock this morning for our Express update. The Express started off the second half 4-0 on a hot start, but the Waterloo Bucks giving them a little bit of trouble here, because the Express have dropped their last 3 games, and all 3 games have been against Waterloo. They've got one more game at Carson Park tonight, that is against Waterloo, before heading over to La Crosse for a doubleheader tomorrow. And then they return home for games Thursday and Friday against Bismarck. But remember, the Express already locking up that first half championship, so they've got a playoff spot on there. A few Express alums getting their names announced yesterday in the MLB draft as well, in the later rounds of the MLB draft too. So congrats to those kids, to those young ones out there, and hopefully they'll have, if they make it to the major leagues, hopefully they'll have a very successful professional career. So shout out to all those young players that got to hear their names called, or got the phone call that they were being drafted by the by a major league ball club. Got to be a pretty darn cool moment, no doubt about it. So it is Tuesday, so what's grinding your gears? You can let us know via the Shoe Doctors bullpen line at 715-830-1912. Hit me up on Twitter at DANKSPER, Facebook.com / Kasper Sports. Otherwise, you can comment on the video stream over there too. So hit me up over there. We'll do a little pop quiz Tuesday. Probably get to that before the end of the first hour here this morning. So, but let's get things going. Let's open things up. Coming up on the leadoff, I want to talk a little baseball here before we get to some football chat here. But home run derby last night, is that still a thing for you to watch? Is it still like a must thing for you to watch? Are you still like, oh, whenever that's on, sitting down watching? Can't wait. It's my favorite part of any all-star festivities out there in any sport. And with the Major League Baseball game tonight, is that still a must-watch for you? Maybe it never was a must-watch for you. I don't know. But is that something that you're going to be paying attention to? And play along. I want some people to play along with here but I created my top 5 home run derby participants, and it has to be participants from 1990 to current. So it's not home run hitters of all time, because I think a lot of us would probably have a very similar top 5 out there. So might have to think about it a little bit, but give me your top 5 home run derby participants from 1990 to now. And you can go about it a couple different ways. You can go about, well, I think these will be the top 5, home run derby participants, or maybe it's just like, these are my top 5. I'd love to see these guys go at it, or maybe it's a mixture of both. Whatever, okay, whatever it is. So let me know. Play along. Hit me up with those texts, tweets, Facebook, Instagram, whatever floats your boat there. So let's get things going here. Coming up on the leadoff, we'll open up things, talking some baseball before we get to a little football chat. All-Star game tonight. Is it still your favorite All-Star game? Is the Major League Baseball game your favorite All-Star game of all the sports? We'll discuss. Coming up next. Free, healthy life.
If Culligan isn't treating your home's water, you likely have water problems all around you, like hard-to-clean, chalky residue on your shower, faucets, and bath, stains around your sink drains, spots on your dishes and glassware, plus dull, dried-out hair and skin, and problems you don't see, like scaly buildup in the water heater and pipes. But have no fear, you're in the clear with Culligan Products and Service. For all your residential and commercial water filtration needs,
visit CulliganH2O.com for your local Culligan water dealer.
Register to win a Chevy Silverado 1500 at Menards. See store for details.
Today's job market is full of demand for skilled trade workers. Electricians, welders, mechanics, these and other trades are the backbone of every community. They're also a huge part in making sure the Army National Guard is always fulfilling its mission of service to our country and communities. Soldiers train to keep the power flowing, engines running, and supplies moving. The skilled trades these soldiers perform are the same ones needed in today's civilian workforce. Army National Guard soldiers are on the fast track to learning skills that can set them up for success at home, with companies looking to hire the best. With options from plumber to helicopter mechanic and everything in between, soldiers are able to select the trades that best fit their lives. Their resumes are being built through their paid training and part-time service. Find out how you too can learn a trade profession and serve your community and country by visiting NationalGuard.com. Sponsored by the Wisconsin Army National Guard. Aired by the Wisconsin Broadcasters Association and this station.
Kentucky Fried Chicken's new Ultimate Barbecue Fried Chicken Sandwich. An extra crispy filet loaded with hickory smoked bacon, cheese, crispy onions, and sweet honey barbecue sauce. It tastes just like summer, but like the good part of summer, not leaving the tent door open and waking up to a swarm of mosquitoes, 2 chipmunks, and 1 very, very large woodchuck. Anyway, try KFC's new Ultimate Barbecue Fried Chicken Sandwich. It's a barbecue in every bite. That's finger-licking good. For a limited time at participating locations while supplies last, prices may vary.
This is Scott Basak, owner of Koufax Chevrolet. We have a fantastic selection of vehicles in stock, and if you don't see what you're looking for, we will find it for you. We strive to provide an excellent customer experience, so stop in and see what makes Koufax Chevrolet different. Visit both of our lots in downtown Koufax, and for a buying experience completely online, visit KoufaxChev.com. It's always a fantastic day at Koufax Chevrolet.
It's another Web Wednesday with Lucas from Amundsen's Appliance. Lucas, we've had plenty of hot weather. We've got plenty of hot weather ahead of us. Let's keep things cool. The ice cream, the beverages in your refrigerator and freezer. What have you got? I see some Whirlpools here online.
That's right. We have plenty of refrigeration in stock, but let's talk about this Whirlpool bottom-mount refrigerator. 33 inches wide, 22 cubic foot, comes in stainless at a great buy at just $15.99. That's a savings, over a $500 savings on that unit.
And you never can predict when your refrigerator goes out. So if it goes out today, how soon can I get it?
That's right.
His words can move you. Seriously, they could pick you up and carry you to the other side of the room. Or maybe that was the poltergeist again.
They're here.
The Dan Kasper Show, weekday mornings from 6 to 9.
Get things rolling here this morning. Coming up on the leadoff. Let's talk a little baseball here this morning. All-Star break still continuing on in Major League Baseball. We had the home run derby last night. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. picking up the victory. We've got the actual game itself tonight. So throw out a couple questions for you, and let's check out the texting line here a little bit. We've got G-Man saying he still likes to watch the home run derby over there. We got Adam saying, if it's on and I got nothing to do, I'll pay attention to it, but it's not a must-watch for me. We've got Eric saying, no, I haven't had interest in the home run derby ever since I was a little one. I don't have any issues with it, just don't have that much interest in it anymore. This one's from Steve. Who is saying that he still likes to watch the home run derby. Kind of hard to follow at times, but still likes to see the long ball out there. So we kind of got a little bit of a mixed bag of thoughts at this point with the home run derby. But if you want to give me your opinion, hit me up with those texts on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line. All right, 715-830-1912. That's 715-830-1912. Also, a couple of texts surrounding the actual All-Star game itself tonight. I threw out there, do you still pay attention? Or, I don't want to say pay attention. Do you still watch the All-Star game? Is that still your favorite one? And why majority saying yes, that the Major League Baseball All-Star Game is their favorite All-Star game to watch. We've had a couple people even put in their rankings out here. This one's from Ben saying number 1 is Major League Baseball, number 2 NHL, number 3 NBA, number 4 is the Pro Bowl. This one's from Travis. Travis saying that Major League Baseball is my favorite All-Star game. After that, it's kind of up in the air between the NBA and the NHL. So at least a couple people already got the Pro Bowl all the way down there, even with the Pro Bowl trying to change some things up there too. So a couple of you just texting in saying that Major League Baseball is your favorite All-Star game to watch. We got this is from Greg saying, I might watch it tonight, but if I got something better to go on, nah, not really. We'll see. Okay. Josh saying love the Derby and the All-Star game. Unfortunately, we cut cable a few months ago, so haven't been able to watch it. So I think that's probably another thing too over the last few years. Whether you're a streamer, satellite, or cable, probably affects your viewing habits and such. But yeah, I'll watch it. I'm going to watch it tonight. Be home watching it tonight. So we'll see if Devin Williams gets in or Corbin Burns gets in to represent the Brew Crew and such out there. But, we'll see. I put together my top 5 home run derby participants, and I'm looking for the rest of you. If you don't want to do top 5 and you just want to give me maybe your favorite or maybe a couple of favorites out there, maybe for you diehard or home run derby people out there. Do you have a favorite year maybe that kind of stands out to you from the home run derby? Is there a certain year that kind of, you know what, That's the one that sticks out to me. I personally don't have a certain year that sticks out to me. I think the things that I remember the most about the home run derby, and really the memories are when I was younger, as a kid. And I think that's where a lot of these, type of events, home run derbies, slam dunk competitions, Pro Bowls even, they're more directed towards the younger audience, right? That's what they're directed towards. So I think for me, when I remember watching the home run derby as a young man, as a little boy, and good old Metford there, Griffey Jr. stands out. Backwards hat, whatever year, but it was always that. It was Chris Berman, back, that sort of thing. Those are like kind of the things that kind of stick out to me the most when it comes to the All-Star game, or excuse me, the home run derby. So not necessarily one year for me personally, but hey, maybe somebody's got a particular year that kind of sticks out to them. If so, let me know. But I'll get my top 5 here in just a little bit. I want to give some other people some time to text in their top 5 home run derby participants. Again, from 1990 to now. We've had a couple of you sending them in, so I'll give you a little bit more time to send those puppies on over with. In terms of like favorite All-Star games for me, yeah, Major League Baseball is my favorite. Pro Bowl, if I were to rank them, I'd probably go Major League Baseball. I do like the changes that the NHL did the last couple of years, last few years over there. I do like how they changed it up a little bit. I think that's one of the few ones that have kind of altered their All-Star festivities, if you will, and it actually might have made some positive improvements over there. So I probably would put the NHL at number 2, in my opinion. And I'd probably go NBA at number 3, although, I mean, I'll give the NBA credit, at least the majority of their stars, if they're elected, if they're selected, they play in the game, air quotes, play in the game. Anybody who's watched it knows it's, not really a game. It's just kind of like, chuck it up, slam dunk competition, long ball competition with the 3-pointer and such. But nonetheless, yeah, I'd probably go NBA at number 3. Although for me personally, it's not that entertaining of a game. I honestly, when it comes to like the NBA All-Star game, I'm more entertained in the team picks, like the captains, who they're going to pick. That's kind of where I'm more entertained with. And it's maybe a little kind of like, when you're a kid playing maybe Madden and you're building your team and then you just don't even play it anymore. I know I'm not the only one who did that, but they would probably be 3. And Pro Bowl. Pro Bowl is just Pro Bowl's 4, and I just don't see it ever changing too much. And again, like I was just saying a few minutes ago, it's more for, I think, the youngsters. As a kid, I used to get geeked up for the Pro Bowl. I used to love watching the Pro Bowl. NFC wearing those blue jerseys, red, or AFC wearing the red, trying to find out which Packers out there looking for that yellow helmets out there sticking out from the blue jerseys. But given with how kind of, 2023 contracts, player contracts, teams not wanting guys to get hurt and that sort of thing, I just don't see the Pro Bowl, changing. I mean, that changing for the better, I guess maybe is the proper way to put it, where it like gets me more in tuned into the game. So All-Star game for me for baseball is probably number 1, because for the most part, I mean, not everybody, but for the most part, you've got the players who were selected to play in the game, and it's the closest one, I think, out of all of them that is like an actual real game. NBA All-Star game, it's like we said, you're jogging up the court and you're chucking up half court 3-pointers. There's no defense. It's alley-oops and that sort of thing. It's cool once in a while, but for a whole game like that, it's like you can tell there's not really a whole lot of effort there. Same for the Pro Bowl. Wide receivers chucking it down to their, quarterbacks chucking it down to their wide receivers, and not a whole lot of defense. Edge rushers can't hit quarterbacks, go after that. So it's not really a game. Baseball, at least, it's like an actual game going out there. And when you look at, I think, a lot of the All-Star games throughout history, they've been pretty close and pretty entertaining games. They haven't been so lopsided every single time. And I just think there's a little bit more of a history there, if that kind of makes sense. So to me, of all the big four, if we're going with the big four of Major League Baseball and NBA, NFL, NHL, Major League Baseball All-Star Game to me is still number one. Let's go. Was it? No, that wasn't last year. Let me bring up. There we go. I mean, because even like some of the games we never even watched, we can kind of remember highlights, like Pete Rose and all that, right? You can get that in your mind bank. But last year, 3-2 AL won, 5-2 the year prior, 4-3, 8-6, 2-1, 4-2, 6-3, 5-3. And I remember, it used to be where the National League and the American League, this was like one of the few times we got to see National League teams going up against American League teams, because if you were a Brewers fan, mostly with the National League, you didn't see a whole lot of American League teams except for the once in a while interleague play, and vice versa. Maybe if you're a Twins fan, you didn't see a whole lot of National League teams. So this was one of your opportunities to actually see some, other players from other teams. And now this year, with more of a balanced schedule, you kind of, maybe that eases that off just a little bit here. And I think too, this is probably an opportunity for, like an All-Star game like this, to see the guys from the West Coast in our neck of the woods that we don't get to see on the television too much. Maybe like an Ohtani, a Trout, or whoever it may be. There's an opportunity to go out there and watch them. So no, MLB All-Star Game is my favorite. I'm looking forward to it. Tonight. Catching it tonight over there in Seattle. So, all right, my top 5 home run derby participants. So again, from 1990 to now. 1990 to now. I got an honorable mention because it's almost a tradition here. When we do a top 5, you have an honorable mention to add to it. So my honorable mention is, he was my favorite baseball player as a kid. I think it was, oh gosh, I don't know what year it was, but he was my first favorite Major League Baseball player. And it was Frank Thomas, the Big Hurt. So my honorable mention, I'm going with Frank Thomas, the Big Hurt. Kind of wanted to put him in my top 5, but I didn't know who to take out of my top 5. Again, this is, and for me, what I did with mine was a little bit more of like, okay, I want to see these dudes go at it. I think these are some of the best, but also I think it would just be fun to see these certain guys, if we could put together our dream home run derby participants here a little bit. So number 5, I got Prince Fielder. Prince Fielder won the derby twice, once with the Brewers. Remember that? What was that? I just had it, but it was like 2009, I believe, is when he won it with the Brew Crew there. But 2-time winner in the home run derby. So I got Prince Fielder, number 5 for me. Number 4, he never won it. This guy never won it. But you look at, he participated in quite a few of them. And if you look at some of the overall numbers of, how many home runs he's hit during the competition, I'm going Albert Pujols. I'm putting Albert Pujols in this thing. Even though he's never won it, he's participated in quite a few of them. So I went Albert Pujols in mine. This is mine. Okay. There's no right or wrong answer in this. So I'm putting the machine out there. Number 3, Barry Bonds. Performance enhancers are allowed in this home run derby, if you will. Number 2 is Mark McGwire. And I already mentioned his name earlier, Griffey Jr. Backwards cap, the sweet swing. Come on. We all 90s, right? Griffey Jr., Chris Berman, back, that sort of thing. Ohtani would probably is getting close. I'd like to, be nice to see him participate maybe in a few of these and such. But going just from 1990 to current participants, my top 5 with an honorable mention, Griffey Jr., McGuire, Bonds, Pujols, Fielder, the Big Hurt, Frank Thomas out there. If we could put them all in their primes too. Put them all in their primes there. But that's the main thing I remember from home run derbies as a kid. Griffey Jr. That was like the man to watch. And when you were playing video games or maybe in the backyard as a kid, that's who you were emulating. Even if you were a righty. Like I'm a righty. I'm a right-handed batter. You'd still emulate Griffey Jr.'s swing. The sweetest swing ever. I had a hat. I remember there was this like store where it was just like stuff for cheap or whatever. I don't even remember what it was called, but they had a Griffey hat and it was like his logo of his swing on there. And I bought it I think my grandma bought it or something like that. But it was just like Griffey. It's like the Jordan logo, but it was Griffey swing, the sweetest swing ever. But yeah, been kind of cool to see Griffey Jr. with the All-Star festivities and the All-Star games over there in Seattle. Kind of seeing him running around and hanging out and that sort of thing too. So, but that's my top 5 with an honorable mention. If you want to participate and play along, you can do so by hitting me up with some texts on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line. Josh saying Josh Hamilton's derby is his favorite. All right, let's take a quick break here, and then we'll finish up the first hour. We got some football chat to chat about. Football stuff to chat about. We'll be back in just a couple minutes.
180! The Dan Kasper Show will be right back.
Hunters, are you looking for a brand new firearm to take with you to the woods? Or maybe you want to save a little money and are looking at getting a high-quality used firearm? Whatever the case may be, if you're looking for a rifle for, say, deer hunting or shotgun for your turkey hunting adventures, look no further than Tilden Gun. Tilden Gun features a wide selection of new and used firearms. And if you're looking for a particular firearm, Tilden Gun will help you find that firearm for you. And plus, they have a wall of handguns for you to check out as well. And you know you're going to need some ammo, targets, cases, scopes, and other accessories too. Well, Tilden Gun has all the accessories you need to properly outfit your firearm to hit the woods. Tilden Gun has the biggest selection, all at the best prices in the Chippewa Valley. So here's what you do. You could visit tildengun.com to see what all Tilden Gun has to offer. And you can stop by Tilden Gun and check out their amazing shop and see what they all have in store. Visit Tilden Gun today at 12427 98th Avenue, Chippewa Falls.
Kentucky Fried Chicken's new Ultimate Barbecue Fried Chicken Sandwich. An extra crispy filet loaded with hickory smoked bacon, cheese, crispy onions, and sweet honey barbecue sauce. It tastes just like summer, but like the good part of summer, not leaving the tent door open and waking up to a swarm of mosquitoes, 2 chipmunks, and 1 very, very large woodchuck. Anyway, try KFC's new Ultimate Barbecue Fried Chicken Sandwich. It's a barbecue in every bite. That's finger-licking good. For a limited time at participating locations while supplies last, prices may vary.
Mark your calendars, car lovers. It's time for the 3rd annual ASAP Used Auto Parts Car Show. The ASAP Used Auto Parts Car Show will be held on Wednesday, July 19th from 5 p.m. until 8 p.m. at the ASAP Used Auto Parts location at 1330 Menominee Street in Eau Claire. Whether you want to bring your vehicle to show off or you just want to check out the impressive lineup yourself, you won't want to miss out on this epic car show. So we will see you July 19th for the 3rd annual ASAP Used Auto Parts Car Show.
Today's job market is full of demand for skilled trade workers. Electricians, welders, mechanics, these and other trades are the backbone of every community. They're also a huge part in making sure the Army National Guard is always fulfilling its mission of service to our country and communities. Soldiers train to keep the power flowing, engines running, and supplies moving. The skilled trades these soldiers perform are the same ones needed in today's civilian workforce. Army National Guard soldiers are on the fast track to learning skills that can set them up for success at home with companies looking to hire the best. With options from plumber to helicopter mechanic and everything in between, soldiers are able to select the trades that best fit their lives. Their resumes are being built through their paid training and part-time service. Find out how you too can learn a trade profession and serve your community and country by visiting NationalGuard.com. Sponsored by the Wisconsin Army National Guard, aired by the Wisconsin Broadcasters Association and this station.
What's the special today?
Well, I've got half-price geofencing with a side of SEO, double bubble on all PPC, and 50% off all OTT CTV contracts.
Sound familiar when you were looking for marketing options? Are vendors selling you tactics rather than your solutions? Midwest Family Eau Claire come to the rescue. Midwest Family Eau Claire isn't about hitting their sales quotas. They're about helping you hit yours. Go to MidwestFamilyEauClaire.com today and find out how their integrated marketing solutions make just the right marketing cocktail for you. MidwestFamilyEauClaire.com. ServiceMaster of Chippewa Valley is your local expert when it comes to fire and water damage, carpet and air duct cleaning, mold remediation, and trauma. They're when you need them 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. Trust comes in the yellow truck. Learn more at ServiceMasterChippewaValley.com.
Shop Menards for big savings on everyday household essentials. Choose from assorted flavors of Marcella coffee. Available in ground, whole bean, or 12-count single brew cups. Just $4.89 each after rebate. Stock up on cleaning supplies. Tide Simply All-in-One Laundry Detergent is just $8.89 after 11% off. 6 packs of Brownie Paper Towels only $9.99 after rebate. Good through July 16th. Savings or mail-in rebate. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards.
Family owned and operated, Toyson Ford is proud to serve the drivers of the Chippewa Valley with some of the most popular vehicles around Wisconsin and the country. They're committed to giving drivers from across the area the best in customer service with a top-notch selection of brand new vehicles to choose from, as well as an extensive inventory of pre-owned crossover, SUV, and trucks. Plus, with their expert finance, service, and part centers in-house, they strive to be your one-stop dealership for all of your automotive needs. Visit them today at 1000 Chippewa Crossing Boulevard in Chippewa Falls.
Not only can you listen to your favorite radio show in the world, but now you can watch why everyone says Dan has a face for radio. Watch the Dan Kasper Show live on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Weekday mornings from 6 to 9.
Put it on your calendars, car show lovers, coming up on July 19th at ASAP Used Auto Parts. It's their third annual car show going on, starting at 5 p.m. all the way up until 8 p.m. So put it again, it's that's coming up next week, next Wednesday. It's always a good time over there. We'll be stopping by, hanging out for a little bit. So 5 p.m., whether you want to come by and show off maybe your vehicle or you want to take a look at the impressive lineup that they always have over there, whatever the case may be, head on over to ASAP Used Auto Parts next Wednesday, July 19th, 5 p.m. until 8 p.m. for the third annual car show going on over there. All right, we've got about 11 minutes to the top here. Catching up on a few texts for the favorite home run derby participants. Eric saying easily Griffey Jr. for me. Everybody else is not even a close second place. Okay. We've got another texter. Don't know the name. Don't forget, if you could add your name, that would be awesome. If you don't want to, that's fine. Or give yourself a nickname. This texter is going with Griffey Jr., Bonds, and McGuire as his going with the top three right there. We've got another Josh Hamilton pick as their favorite performance out there with Josh. I remember the Josh Hamilton one over there too. It was like kind of eye popping now. But now you look at how many, Julio last night had, how many was it? 40. Julio Rodriguez had 40, was it 41? 41? Just unreal. Whew. But some other favorite ones, Griffey Jr. is the clear runaway favorite pick on here. If there was a player that you'd like to see maybe participate more in the Derby, who would that be? Or maybe do a little futures bet out there if you want. What do you got? All right. So, but I'm not going to go through everybody's picks on here for Griffey because, well, Griffey is the clear favorites over there. So we'll get back to some more baseball talk. But again, if you want to chime in with your thoughts on the home run derby or the All-Star game, you can do so by hitting us up with those texts at 715-830-1912. All-Star game tonight. And then, well, we got the rest of the week until Friday when the regular season gets back into full gear for the Brewers and the rest of Major League Baseball. Coming up just past 7 o'clock, we'll touch on a little NFC North chat here with training camp getting ready to open up here in just a couple weeks. But me personally, I mean, there's a lot of different ways we can go about looking at this NFC North, right? There's so many different ways we could be looking at this NFC North, team by team. I think there's a lot of question marks surrounding a lot of these teams. I know Detroit is the odds-on favorite. A lot of hype, a lot of Detroit support out there. Awesome, cool, great to see. Last year, kind of, with Hard Knocks, people kind of fell in love with the Lions, and then they ended up finishing off a great second half of the season, almost making it to the postseason. So a lot of higher expectations in Detroit this year, as opposed to many, I don't know, I should say, for a lot of higher expectations than what it's been like for a long time there in Detroit, which, if you're a Lions fan, you got to be excited about. But you look at this NFC North, and for me personally, I feel like there's one common theme amongst all four of these teams here, and I want to hit that up coming up just past 7 o'clock here this morning. But NFC North, I think, is probably one of the biggest division race question marks out there. AFC East, it's going to be between, I think, for a lot of people, probably going to pick between the Bills and the Jets, although don't sleep on the Dolphins yet. I think a lot's going to depend on Tua and his health out there. AFC West, with all of the hype that it got last year with all the quarterback movement and players and that such, I still think everybody's riding with the Chiefs, down on the Raiders this year. We'll see what the Broncos can do with Sean Payton and such over there, but maybe not as much hype as it was last year in the AFC West. AFC North, Cincinnati, Baltimore. We'll see if Kenny Pickett with Pittsburgh can make another jump this year. Can they get back to the postseason? They were 9-8 last year. I think maybe kind of a surprising 9-8 for some teams out there. AFC South, can Jacksonville? I mean, is it kind of weird to say that maybe Jacksonville is like the clear-cut favorite in that division in the AFC South? I mean, not to completely sleep on Tennessee or anything like that, but you got the Colts with the rookie quarterback. You got Houston. Both Houston and the Colts with rookie head coaches too. But I think, Jacksonville, everybody's just kind of pegging Jacksonville to win the AFC South this year. Mentioned already the NFC East a little bit. Philly, Dallas, New York. We'll see what Washington can do. New ownership group. NFC South. NFC South might be kind of... Is the NFC South and the NFC North kind of similar this year? Tampa Bay. Now it's Baker Mayfield at quarterback. Carolina, rookie quarterback. New Orleans, bringing in Derek Carr. Atlanta. Maybe is it the Saints division this year with Derek Carr coming over there? And then the NFC West, everybody's riding high with the 49ers. Can the Seahawks, can Geno Smith do what he did last year? Can the Rams bounce back this year? They had a lot of roster movement. I think when I look at both conferences, though, to me, right now, at least on paper, the AFC is clearly superior compared to the NFC. But I want to talk about the NFC North coming up just past 7 o'clock after we do some sports nuggets of the day shortly after that. So we'll hit that up, and then we'll get back to some more texts from all of you about the All-Star festivities. But a couple more of you kind of coming in here before the buzzer beater, saying that you feel like the MLB All-Star Game is the best of the big four All-Star games out there because they haven't had to tinker with it so much. It's more of a pure game as compared to the other ones. That's taking that straight from Matt, who texted in this morning. I agree. I kind of said the same thing. Major League Baseball, their All-Star Game, it's more like an actual game. It's not the lollygagging of the NBA All-Star Game, and it's not the, kind of lollygagging of the Pro Bowl game either. NHL, I think, has gotten better, and their changes have actually, I think, have helped their game, but Major League Baseball hasn't had to tinker a lot with the game itself, even though Bud Selig tried to do that with the, winner gets home field advantage for the World Series. But for the most part, I think the games have been good. They've been entertaining. You haven't had to tinker with it that much because it's more of that pure game out there. So, but hey, you want any last minute thoughts on that? Hit us up with some text. I'll get to your pop quiz trivia question coming up just right when we do sports nuggets of the day too. Well, we'll do that. We'll do the pop quiz trivia before that too. I was going to do it right before the top of the hour, but computer actually froze, so had to restart the whole thing over there. So we'll get to that just past 7 o'clock. We'll finish up the first hour with Morgan. Good morning, Morgan.
Hey, how's it going, Casper?
Good. How are you?
How's the digit?
It's good.
Yeah? Healing up okay?
I think so.
The cast makes you look like, you have a story to tell. Like somebody talked to you wrong kind of thing.
No, lefty. So
how are you going to golf?
I'll hopefully be fine.
Are you sure? Yeah?
Probably. So.
Why don't you work on a one-handed?
I don't have enough time for that. So.
Okay. Well, you're talking about shaking up the games a little bit. It's fair season. You going to take Hutsy to walk the Midway?
Yeah. Well, I know weather-wise it will depend on that, but yeah, we're planning on it.
So are you a Midway fair game guy? Like if you have to go up and down, you got beanbag toss, the fish bowls, duck pond. What are you walking over to?
Balloon darts.
What? You're a balloon dart guy?
I wish they would bring back the prizes that they had when I was a kid, though.
You're talking about those airbrushed mirrors and feathers? Because that's what we got.
Yes.
Yeah, I know.
Those little photos, too, in the frames and the paper frames. I wish they would bring those back.
My sister and I used to do. We'd get the feathers with the clip.
Oh, yeah.
Those alligator clips were so strong, you could probably take a finger off. I'd end up in a cast like that.
I always put them on the back of my hat.
Oh, see, my sister and I would sit and put them on our fingers to see who could last the longest on the ride home, putting them on our fingers because that's what you do for fun before the internet.
Prizes were so much better back then.
Really, though, I cannot tell you how many airbrushed mirrors we got from walking the Midway. Do you have a prize to rule them all from your fair youth?
I didn't. I was actually telling Hudson this because we were like, last week, and that said, well, we got to save some money for the fair, and I'm like, dude, we can't spend as much as we did with you last year and getting this Batman stuffed animal and all that sort of stuff. And
what games does he like?
He likes the dart one.
Okay.
I think that's the one because he has the most success at.
Well, the problem is you spot those big stuffed animals,
Yeah.
and it's hard to explain how many darts you actually have to throw to win one of those.
But I think he would actually like it if they would bring back those small frame pictures because then he could decorate his room that way.
Well, they used to do a lot of like sports figures and stuff like that.
That's
Jordan
how I decorated my room. I had Shaq ones.
Oh yeah, see, I completely agree that it's very similar to like the cereal box concept. I remember actually digging for decent toys in the cereal box. Now it's like a rub-on, stick-on tattoo. Come on.
Because I was never allowed to spend a lot of money, but it was like, okay, you hit a couple balloons and you already qualified for one of those pictures.
Yeah, that was the ticket. So you're taking.
wish.
What's your second then? If you're past the balloons, I pictured you
I
as a
always liked
basketball
as a
guy.
kid the pitching, guessing the miles per hour.
Ah, okay.
You get 3 pitches, you throw your first 2, then the third one you got to guess. I always liked doing that as a kid.
Okay,
I
no.
won't do that now.
How many goldfish went home with you over the
lot.
years?
Yeah.
Yeah. I very much think that goldfish
I
from
think
the fair are the
they've,
hardiest animals on earth.
I think they've altered the rims a little bit more.
You got a conspiracy theory at work?
Yep.
So now if you guys are walking and Hudson's going for the balloons, are you a competitive guy? Like, will you show him how it's done first?
No.
You're just going to let him go for it?
Last year he was, because there was the basketball one,
Yeah.
And he had to make one more to get, I think it was, I don't know what it was. And I asked him, did you want me to do it for him? And he brushed me off. So
No.
I had to keep laying money down for him to finally
of course.
flip and hit one more. But
You got to just start paying. That's what dads have to do.
Yeah.
So you had a shack mirror decorated room. And what about those feathers? Clip them to the back of your hat.
Blue ones.
Blue all the way.
Yep.
I don't see, my sister and I would get pink. I don't think I've even seen those at a recent fair.
I forgot all about those until you just said something there.
That was the fair of my youth too. And I think there's
or the blow up bats. I know they still got some of those.
You're right,
but
the blow up bats. My daughter won a blow up guitar last year.
I had a blue one of those too.
It's hard to fit that into the decorating scheme, but man, that thing.
Fair people need to bring back the photos, though.
All right, you heard it here. I agree.
Bring
and
back
those
the
feathers
photos,
with the
yes.
strongest clips ever.
Yeah.
I think I lost circulation to
I
my
agree.
pinky for a good 3 hours.
All right. Thanks, Morgs.
Hey,
Appreciate
thanks,
it. 1 hour in. We got 2 more to go. Sports nuggets of the day. Then we'll get to some NFC North talk coming up in just a couple minutes.
WAYY Eau Claire, W286CK Eau Claire, Sports Talk 105.1 and 790 AM. From the 715 newsroom, it's Morgan McCarthy with your news on Sports Talk 105.1.
Well, good morning. Here's what we're learning today. We'll start locally with the sheriff in Dunn County looking into a string of mailbox explosions. Deputies say they got a call about a handful of mailboxes that blew up in the township of Rock Creek over the weekend, and they're not saying what was used to blow up the mailboxes, but say it was likely fireworks or some other kind of homemade explosive. The sheriff's office saying the explosions are likely not targeted. No reports of any injuries. Well, a strike on tap with some 24 employees at the Jacob Kugel Brewing Company in Chippewa Falls hitting the picket line early Monday morning. Dan Boley, a spokesperson for Teamsters Union Local 662, saying,
"We're on strike today. We're tired of the subpar wages and looking for a fair contract."
A spokesman for Molson Coors said the brewery has made a competitive offer that exceeds local market rates for similar unionized roles. The last strike at Chippewa Falls Brewery was in the 1980s. As we look to other headlines from the courts, it'll be a couple more years and likely not much of a change for Daryl Brooks. A judge in Milwaukee yesterday sentenced Brooks to 2 years in prison for carrying a gun during a 2020 shooting. Now those extra years come on top of 6 consecutive life sentences that Brooks is serving for killing 6 people and injuring 60 others when he drove through the Waukesha Christmas parade in 2021. Brooks could be looking at more prison time as well. He has yet to go on trial for running over his ex. That was just before he plowed through the parade. Take a peek at the political stage where it's early action, about 15 months away from Election Day 2024, but a hat in the ring in the race for Congress in our area. Democrat Rebecca Cook yesterday said she's entering the race to take on Republican Congressman Derek Van Orden. Cook ran 2 years ago but didn't make it out of the Democratic primary, and this time around says she wants to connect with more people in the Eau Claire area and the rest of the western part of our state. Van Orden, serving his first term, is seen as a possible target for Democrats next fall. His campaign says Cook is, quote, extreme and wrong for western Wisconsin. And you're looking for something sweet? This is the month to dish up.
Monster Cookie Dough Ice Cream features vanilla ice cream laced with brown sugar and loaded with candy-coated chocolate morsels, peanut butter cookie dough pieces, and dark chocolate chunks. President Ronald Reagan gave July the title of National Ice Cream Month in 1984 and designated the third Sunday of July National Ice Cream Day. That's July the 16th this year. The brand new flavor is in stores now in half-gallon and pint sizes. I'm Mark Mayfield.
That's so weird. Casper was working on a new recipe for another beer, but I don't think this one's going to go down as smooth as those Man Cave Lights do. Said he wants to add
vanilla ice cream laced with brown sugar and loaded with candy-coated chocolate morsels, peanut butter cookie dough pieces, and dark chocolate chunks.
For Sports Talk 105.1. I'm Morgan McCarthy.
Our Tuesday is off to a dry start as skies have turned mainly clear. That said, do expect beautiful weather throughout the day. Plenty of sunshine. We'll see highs in the upper 70s. By this evening, a few scattered showers will be possible, turning partly to mostly cloudy, lows in the upper 50s. And then for your Wednesday, we'll have a mix of sun and clouds, chances for a few more showers, highs in the upper 70s. I'm Skywarn 13 meteorologist Derek Dahlman.
Wisconsin is still the big cheese as we lead the nation in total cheese production. Let's take a look at some food and farm news this morning on Sports Talk 105.1 and AM 790. Cheese production in May across the state total almost 302 million pounds. That's up just over 1% from last year. That's according to the latest numbers from the USDA's National Agricultural Statistics Service. Wisconsin leads the U.S. in the production of cheddar in May. 62 million pounds produced by our cheesemakers. That's up over 4% from last year. We're also second in production of mozzarella and Italian cheeses behind California, but totally Wisconsin leads the country in cheese production. California remains second. May pork exports were their highest in 2 years in May. Pork exports during that month reached over 261,000 metric tons, up 16% from a year ago, and the largest since May of 2021. That's according to data released by the USDA and compiled by the U.S. Meat Export Federation. Export values for pork climbed 12% in May to just over $731 million, also the highest since May of 2021. Leading buyers of U.S. pork include Mexico, Taiwan, and South Korea. Exports to Australia, Central America, and Malaysia were also higher compared to the past few months. For the first 5 months of the year, U.S. pork exports 14% higher than last year at 1.2 million metric tons, a total value of $3.4 billion. That's up 13%. And the fair season getting underway. Later on this morning, the Northern Wisconsin State Fair will officially kick off with some activities, including the youth judging for their pork hog projects, and that will start about 9 o'clock in the new Custer Coliseum. It's fair time in Wisconsin. Get out and enjoy it. Let's look at some of our food and farm news this morning on Sports Talk 105.1 and AM 790. I'm Bob Bosold.
Express Employment Professionals has put more than 10 million people to work in the last 40 years in all types of industries. Find your next job at expresspros.com.
Crank it up.
Hey, are you ready today? Get up. He's on his way. He's our man. The myth, the legend. That's Dan.
And now, the Dan Kasper Show.
All right, second hour kicking off on this Tuesday morning of July 11th. Appreciate you tuning in however you may be tuning in from. Coming up in just a little bit, we're going to switch gears here and chat a little football with training camp coming up in just a couple of weeks already, believe it or not. Anybody planning on going down and maybe taking the kiddos to watch some practice, maybe to see if a Packer will ride their bike or anything like that? Anybody planning on that? I know this year it's a little bit difficult because, well, one, they only released, I believe the last I checked, it could have changed, but last I checked, they only released like the first couple start times for practice. And we know that they've got fewer practices in Green Bay and even open to the public. Part of it is because they're going over to Cincinnati for a few days to practice and such. But it feels like it's a little bit harder this year to go down and take the kids, take the family, and enjoy a little training camp practice down in Green Bay. But if anybody's planning on it, I think I'm going to take Hudson, and we'll see if a player chooses to ride his bike or not. But so we'll get to some football chat coming up here in just a minute. We've got some sports nuggets of the day brought to you by Ansay Associates, which will lead into your pop quiz trivia question. But first, 1914, Babe Ruth debuted in the major leagues with the Boston Red Sox. 1960 in Honolulu, the first tournament held outside the continental United States, sanctioned by the U.S. Golf Association, began. Bo Jackson in 87 signed a contract to play football for the LA Raiders for 5 years. He also continued to play baseball for the Kansas City Royals. 1995, Mickey Mantle made his final public appearance. It was to increase awareness of organ donation programs. And your final nugget, which is going to lead into your pop quiz, Tuesday pop quiz trivia question, which again, don't look up. Try your best to guess here. But 1985, Nolan Ryan became the first major league pitcher to earn 4,000 strikeouts in a career. Now, we know Nolan Ryan is the leader. You want to talk about maybe one of those records that will never be broken again, it might be Nolan Ryan's. He's got 5,714 career strikeouts, okay? Your pop quiz trivia question, can you name the other three besides Nolan Ryan? So there's three more. The other three pitchers that have 4,000 or more strikeouts. 4,000 or more strikeouts. And if you want an extra credit point here, give me the current active leader in career strikeouts. So two-parter. I should say one part with an extra credit point. Give me the other three pitchers that have at least 4,000 career strikeouts in your extra credit point. The current active leader in career strikeouts. Okay? Hit me up with those texts, 715-830-1912 on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line. Please don't look it up. I want to see if anybody can get this off the top of their heads. Or maybe they actually just legit know this because they're a baseball historian nut. It makes it even more impressive. So give you a few minutes to do that and text those puppies on over. Let's talk a little NFC North here. So, the last couple weeks, I've had, some people ask like, hey, dude, how do you see this NFC North playing out? How do you think it's going to play out this year? And the question or the answer that I always kind of give is I have no idea. And I'm not trying to be, naive or trying to brush them off or just trying to whatever. I legit have no flipping idea how this thing is gonna play out. I know the Lions are the odds-on favorite. But me personally, and I know we've got some Lions fans, listeners, and this is not a knock on the Lions. Please believe me, it's not a knock on the Lions. I don't know if I'm 100% sold yet on the Lions being division winners. And maybe they become division winners just because the rest of this division is just so unknown or not that great. It could be possible. I'm not 100% sold there on the Lions yet. You got Minnesota, who are defending champs, division champs, but they've gone through an offseason of some change. No more Dalvin Cook. No more Eric Kendricks. No more Zadarius Smith. New defensive coordinator Brian Flores. Second year for O'Connell as head coach. So I think it's fair to say there's some question marks surrounding Minnesota this year. Green Bay, obviously, we know it's brand new quarterback for first time since 2008. And then you've got Chicago, third year under Justin Fields, second year under the current new coaching regime. They acquired DJ Moore, the talented young receiver from Carolina, as part of that trade for the number one overall pick, where the Bears sent the number one overall pick to Carolina. Remember, the Bears also acquired Chase Claypool before the trade deadline in the season last year. So a couple of younger, but some semi-experienced receivers for Justin Fields. So there's question marks for every single team here, but there's one of many. But I feel like there's for sure one common theme among all of these four teams in the NFC North. And I think it's the quarterbacks. Like and it's like I know quarterback play determines a lot in the league. It determines success a lot. But I look at this NFC North, and I think when I look at the quarterback positions, or I look at the starting quarterbacks for each of these teams, and I feel like there's question marks all around, even with the Lions. Jared Goff, it feels like, let's start with the Lions. Okay, you got Jared Goff. Jared Goff had, I think, a good season last year that maybe kind of gets overlooked. And ever since Jared Goff has been traded to the Lions, it feels like, at least from the national pundits out there, it feels like the Lions are still looking for their starting quarterback ever since they've traded for Jared. When they traded Matthew Stafford and acquired Jared Goff back, it's been like, okay, Lions are going to draft a quarterback high in the draft. They're going to go after one of those quarterbacks. And to the Lions' credit here, this is where I think a lot of teams get in trouble, just because you may need a position or you need a certain position addressed in the draft, and it's a big-time position like a quarterback. Don't reach. And this is where I give the Lions credit. They looked at these last couple drafts, and they're like, okay, yeah, we probably need our young quarterback. We need a quarterback for the future and such. But we're not going to reach. We're not going to reach on any of these guys. Look at the Titans. The Titans might be an example of this a little bit here. So, was it not this past draft, but the one before it? The Desmond Ridder, the Malik Willis, and that sort of thing. Malik Willis was drafted, what was he, third round for the Titans? Not this last one, but the year prior. While the Titans still had Ryan Tannehill, because the narrative out there was that the Titans, they need their quarterback of their future. Ryan Tannehill's not the guy. They got to go out there and get their quarterback. And granted, it wasn't a first round or anything like that, but they drafted Malik Willis. And what does everybody say? Malik Willis is going to be the future starter. He's going to be the future. Got into a couple games last year, didn't look the part. And now there's even talk that, is he actually even going to make the team this year? So I give the Lions a lot of credit for not kind of succumbing to the pressure of like, oh, we got to draft a quarterback the first couple of years, Yeah, we got Jared Goff, but we need our quarterback for the future. We got to draft one right away. They didn't do that. I mean, they drafted Hooker, this year, which I thought was a solid pick at that point in time. Hendon Hooker, Tennessee, who a lot of people kind of thought maybe could sneak in to the back end of the first round there. But I thought it was a good pick by the Lions, getting him in the third round. And they can be patient with him as he's still recovering, because Jared Goff had a good season last year. But there's still going to be question marks surrounding Jared Goff, even throwing for almost 4,500 yards last year, 29 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. I think a lot of the Lions' success this year is going to depend on the play of Jared Goff. What version of Jared Goff are we going to see? Or what version are we going to get? And I think what helps is their offensive coordinator is coming back for the Lions. Their offensive coordinator is coming back, Ben Johnson. He was kind of the hot name out there, right? For head coaching hirings last year. But there's still just a little bit of like if we were to rank the NFC North quarterbacks, would you put Kirk Cousins or Jared Goff at one? If we're, let's take away Jordan. Let me back up here and let me rephrase. Would you rather have Jared Goff or Kirk Cousins? Would you rather have Jared Goff or Kirk Cousins? And I think Kirk Cousins, even like, Minnesota fans, I know some of them are frustrated. Some feel like he doesn't get the fair shake. But, transitioning into the Lions here too. You look at this Lions, or transitioning into the Vikings. Transitioning into the Vikings now. You look at this team. They've lost Adarius. They've lost Eric Kendricks. They've lost a couple of guys on defense. They're bringing in Brian Flores to fix the defense. Second year under O'Connell, offensive play caller, head coach. No Dalvin Cook. You got JJ. You got Justin Jefferson, though. No Adam Thielen this year. There might be a little bit more on the shoulders of Kirk Cousins, which for some people might, for some Vikings fans, might make them a little bit nervous. Might make them a little bit like, oh, no. I think there is a little bit more on the shoulders of Kirk Cousins this year. Can he handle that? Can he go out there and lead this Vikings team to another division championship? Last year, threw for over 4,500 yards, 29 touchdowns, 14 picks. Entering, I believe, the final year of his contract with Minnesota. Can he perform in the clutch moments, in the primetime games? Can he go out there and get it done? Then you look at Chicago, Justin Fields. Is this the do or die, the make it or break it season for Justin Fields this year in the NFC North? You bring in DJ Moore. You brought in Chase Claypool by the trade deadline, at the trade deadline last year. You've surrounded your quarterback with a couple of younger wide receivers to grow with. But is this the season? Because we know teams get very, very, very impatient when it comes to their quarterback play. They've got to see something. They want to see something that they can build upon. They want to see some consistency. They want to see some success with it. Heck, even there was talk before the Bears traded their pick that could they trade Justin Fields and start over again at the quarterback position. This is a make it or break it season for Justin Fields. Can he go out there and prove that he's a starting quarterback in this league? Kind of shake off that Ohio State stigma that Ohio State quarterbacks can't make it in the NFL. And then, of course, probably right now, the biggest spotlight in the division at quarterback is Jordan Love. Green Bay's got talent on defense. They've got some playmakers on offense. Some of them are younger and might take a little bit to grow into, but Aaron Jones is there. But there's such an unknown surrounding Jordan Love compared to these other three quarterbacks. I feel like there's question marks surrounding these quarterbacks in the division, but a bigger question mark surrounding Jordan Love because we have no idea what he's going to be like. We've seen some glimpses, but that doesn't tell the whole story. That doesn't even tell a whole chapter. We've seen bits and pieces of it. Some are already drawing conclusions on what type of player is going to be based off of that, whether it's positive or good. Some will look at the Kansas City game from a couple of years ago and be like, that's the quarterback he's going to be. Some will look at, the Philly game in the final, quarter or so, be like, oh, that's the quarterback he can be. Truth is, we have no idea what he's going to be. He's under the biggest spotlight of all these quarterbacks in this division. If Jordan Love goes out there and plays like Kirk Cousins' numbers last year, okay, 27 touchdowns did we say and 14 picks? Does Green Bay make the postseason? Are you happy with that? I think Packers fans would be happy with that with year one under Jordan Love. And I think Green Bay would make the postseason with those numbers. The bar is set so high for Jordan Love right now because he is replacing Aaron Rodgers. We need to set that bar a little bit low. I know high expectations always come with Green Bay. But sometimes we just got to, we might have to move it down here for a year or two. Got to lower that bar. But you look at this division, and that's why when people ask me personally how I think this division is going to play out, I kind of look at the quarterbacks and I'm like, which quarterback of these four do you trust day one right away? Is it Jared Goff? I'm not going to argue with you because, you're looking at those four. Is it Jared Goff? Is it Kirk Cousins? It's one of those two, in my opinion. Do you trust them as much as you would trust a guy like Patrick Mahomes or Joe Burrow or anybody like that out there? Probably not. But that's why when I look at these, I'm like, okay, well, how are the quarterbacks going to play? Jared Goff had a good season last year. Can he replicate that this year with Detroit? St. Brown, continuing to grow with him. I think a lot of the success from these four teams is going to be dependent on how much these quarterbacks can carry them. I'm not saying they have to do it all themselves. They can't do it all themselves. Packers defense has to step it up in big ways. Vikings defense has to get better than what they were last year. Brian Flores has to improve that. The youngsters in Chicago, the Claypools and the DJ Moores, they got to help out Justin Fields. Detroit's made some changes with the running game and such. There's question marks surrounding every one of these teams, but I look at these quarterbacks and I feel like that's a common theme with these 4 teams within this division. I think that's going to be one of the biggest deciding factors in who's going to come away with the division. Jordan Love goes out there and puts up 25 touchdown passes and 12 interceptions. Are you satisfied with that? I'd be satisfied with that for year 1 starting under Jordan Love. So, all right. Tell you what, we got to take a quick break here, and we'll get to some of the answers from your pop quiz trivia question. A lot of people chiming in on that. We'll see if we got any correct ones after this quick break.
You're listening to the Dan Kasper Show.
Suffer a sports injury or know someone who has and you don't know who to turn to? Rely on the experience of the sports medicine team at Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine. When you experience any sports-related injury or issue, you could count on Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine on prompt, proper diagnosis and customized treatment plans to meet your goals. When it comes to getting back on the field of play, get back on there with the best team in the area. Request an appointment with Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine today by visiting cvosm.com.
The Shoe Doctor is known for quality footwear. Remember, the Shoe Doctor can keep your feet comfortable during all the different outdoor weather and activities here in the Chippewa Valley. Work boots, casual shoes, sandals, and more from brands you trust like Keen, Merrill, Chaco, and Dansko, and that's just to name a few. Located on Claremont Avenue in Eau Claire, you can also visit them online at shoedoctorfootwear.com. The Shoe Doctor, quality footwear for work, sport, and fun.
This is Scott Pasak, owner of Koufax Chevrolet. We have a fantastic selection of vehicles in stock, and if you don't see what you're looking for, we will find it for you. We strive to provide an excellent customer experience, so stop in and see what makes Koufax Chevrolet different. Visit both of our lots in downtown Koufax, and for a buying experience completely online, visit KoufaxChev.com. It's always a fantastic day at Koufax Chevrolet.
Today's job market is full of demand for skilled trade workers. Electricians, welders, mechanics, these and other trades are the backbone of every community. They're also a huge part in making sure the Army National Guard is always fulfilling its mission of service to our country and communities. Soldiers train to keep the power flowing, engines running, and supplies moving. The skilled trades these soldiers perform are the same ones needed in today's civilian workforce. Army National Guard soldiers are on the fast track to learning skills that can set them up for success at home with companies looking to hire the best. With options from plumber to helicopter mechanic and everything in between, soldiers are able to select the trades that best fit their lives. Their resumes are being built through their paid training and part-time service. Find out how you too can learn a trade profession and serve your community and country by visiting NationalGuard.com. Sponsored by the Wisconsin Army National Guard, aired by the Wisconsin Broadcasters Association and this station. America is kept safe because the Army National Guard responds, protects, and supports our nation when it needs them most. From fighting wildfires with air support, helping civilians in flooded neighborhoods, to delivering food and supplies to those who have lost everything, the Army National Guard always responds when disaster strikes. The Army National Guard also trains to be ever vigilant against threats, foreign and domestic. They protect our skies with missile defense weaponry. They secure our information, communications, and infrastructure with cybersecurity. And they protect us against chemical, biological, and radiological hazards with the civilian support team. The Army National Guard also stands ready to deploy and provide support for conflicts or humanitarian missions abroad. Join the Army National Guard and be there to respond, protect, and support your community and your country. Visit NationalGuard.com to learn more about part-time service. Sponsored by the Wisconsin Army National Guard, aired by the Wisconsin Broadcasters Association and this station.
Kentucky Fried Chicken's new Ultimate Barbecue Fried Chicken Sandwich. An extra crispy filet loaded with hickory smoked bacon, cheese, crispy onions, and sweet honey barbecue sauce. It tastes just like summer, but like the good part of summer, not leaving the tent door open and waking up to a swarm of mosquitoes, 2 chipmunks, and one very, very large woodchuck. Anyway, try KFC's new Ultimate Barbecue Fried Chicken Sandwich. It's a barbecue in every bite. That's finger-licking good. For a limited time at participating locations while supplies last, prices may vary.
Planning those cookouts and backyard barbecues, maybe some tailgating at the ball game or weekend trips to the cabin? Well, you're going to need to stock up on the brats and the hamburgers this year, so it sounds like a trip to Mike's Star Market is in your future. So while you're there, grab some Man Cave Light brats and dill pickle with cheese and bacon brats, because sales of those brats go to help backyard dreams. Plus, grab some burgers for the grill while you're at it. Create that epic cookout this year with the best meats in the Chippewa Valley. Head to Mike's Star Market on the west side of Eau Claire today.
He may not be the smartest sports talk host, but darn it, he gives 110% every time. Now here's your host, Dan Kasper.
I think we got one person who got the pop quiz trivia question correct and even added an extra, so they went full on top 5 here. I was looking for the next I was looking for the 3 other starting pitchers besides Nolan Ryan to have at least 4,000 strikeouts. And your answers are Randy Johnson is second on that list. Nolan Ryan's the only one over 5,000, 5,714. Randy Johnson, 4,875. Third is Roger Clemens at 4,672. And then Steve Carlton, 4,136. But shout out to Jason, who also included Bert Blyleven, who was 5th on the list, but he's got 3,701. Your current active leader is Scherzer. Max Scherzer, 3,294. A lot of people picked Justin Verlander. He's not far off. He's got this updated right now is 3,255. Yeah, it was updated as of July 9th, 2023. So just a couple days ago. So a lot of answers out there. Good ones out there. But the correct answers, the other 3 besides Nolan Ryan, for pitchers to have 4,000 or more career strikeouts, Johnson, Carlton, and Clemens. All right, so let's get back to some more football chat here. We've got training camp opening up in a couple of weeks right now. A few of you chiming in on the texting line saying that you'll be heading over and taking the kiddos over there and such. But as Eric said, it is definitely harder this year with the limited schedule. I agree with you. I definitely agree with you. But with training camp opening up in a couple weeks from now, we'll bring on Joe DeGuano to chat a little football. Good morning, Joe. How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. It's one of those things that it's football. I had a great Eau Claire Memorial Youth Football Camp yesterday. Got day 2 today. And so, yeah, I'm like the song says from Kenny Chesney. You know, I'm ready to put my cleats on. I'm ready to put the shoulder pads. I mean, you can smell the fresh cut grass. It's football season, man.
So you in your top rundowns here, you've got a picture of Matt LaFleur, although that picture doesn't quite tell you the weather right now. It's giving me kind of over there. But so obviously you've been doing some rundowns and your rankings of the most pivotal people within this Packers organization, players and coaches, and you've covered various players and such. Why do you have Matt LaFleur at this point in time on your list?
Yeah, we're at number 3, and I think for good, bad, or indifferent, Matt LaFleur, Aaron Rodgers, very successful in the regular season, and I think we've seen a variation of what a Matt LaFleur offense could look like. I don't think it's the true Matt LaFleur offense. I think there's been some compromise from Aaron Rodgers and some compromise from Matt LaFleur. And so, you look at the job he's done in the regular season. And again, Is it harder to coach the future Hall of Famer, or is it harder to coach the young developing quarterback? And I think we're going to find what Matt LaFleur is really all about. And so, it's going to be pivotal how he handles that offense. It's going to be pivotal how he handles personnel. Because I think one of Matt LaFleur's things that he's done over the last several years that we've seen is some of his decisions from a personnel standpoint, game by game, don't make a lot of sense. And so I think that's one area where he needs to shore up. I think he needs to have a much shorter leash on some of these players that aren't performing. I mean, why in the heck was Amari Rodgers getting so many second and third and fourth chances when you had Keyshawn Nixon waiting in the wings? And so, you look at the starting offensive line decision last year against Minnesota, Jake Hansen is in there. And so again, I think Matt LaFleur really needs to take that next step up if this organization is going to be successful this year. And again, there's no question what he's been able to do in the regular season. And there's no question that Aaron Rodgers, 2 of those seasons, had absolutely terrific years, MVP years. And so I think you're really going to see if Matt LaFleur has what it takes to be an NFL head coach. One of the areas, and I'm just going to use this term now, does he have the edge to be an NFL head coach? Because I think it takes a different skill set to be an offensive coordinator than it does to be an NFL head coach. I think Mike Holmgren demanded respect. I think Mike McCarthy early on in his career demanded respect. I don't know right now, and again, I'm not there at 1265. I don't know if Matt LaFleur demands respect.
You bring it. We've been talking about it. I've talked about it too. We're finally going to see, that Matt LaFleur style offense. And LaFleur was asked about that. I think it was in the latest minicamp when he just kind of laughed it off and brushed it off and kind of said, he's like, "What do you think we've been doing, in the last few years here?" But I mean, that's a typical coach speak, right? I mean, everybody who's watched Green Bay the last few years and knows what we've seen from Aaron, that wasn't a typical full-on Matt LaFleur offense we've seen the last few years, right?
No, not at all. I mean, let's use the example real quick. And a player that was drafted for this offense, drafted very high, actually, Josiah DeGuara. He was drafted specifically for this offense because the need of that H-back guy. And DeGuara, honestly, we've seen very little of it. Matter of fact, perception, looking at it from the outside, is that DeGuara was actually in Aaron Rodgers' doghouse, and those two didn't have a lot of chemistry, and that's why you didn't see DeGuara on the field. So there's an example right there of a guy that was drafted specifically for this offense. I mean, you look at San Francisco, and you look at how they use Kyle Juszczyk, and that was going to be the vision for DeGuara. And so they're right there. That's a microcosm of one small area where you're going to see, I think, a difference, because I think DeGuara is going to see the field more. And I think you're going to see that H-back and that motion and those types of things. So there's no question. And LaFleur can say what he wants to. This has not been his offense. And again, I'm not saying that in a negative. He adjusted and adapted to the talent he had. And he had a very special talent in Aaron Rodgers. And so he made the adjustments. I think Rodgers probably made some adjustments as well. But yeah, I think you're going to see a completely different offense this year, getting the ball out in rhythm, making this offense be successful with play design rather than players.
How much do you think Matt LaFleur is initially going to, quote, trust Jordan Love at the beginning? We've heard the keys to the offense phrase used how many times, right? We heard it a lot with, Rodgers, and I know Rodgers talked about it, that Super Bowl year, Mike McCarthy gave him to the keys to the offense sort of thing. And, you go back to the Kansas City game from a couple years ago that Jordan Love started, and there was some talk, did Matt LaFleur kind of handcuff, Jordan Love, what he was able to do, or shorten the playbook here? If you were in Matt LaFleur's shoes, how big would that playbook be? How much of the keys would you give Jordan Love initially in the first part of the season?
Well, here's the thing. The playbook, I think he gets the whole playbook. And I think he has the ability to run the whole playbook. And, again, I go back to the comment, this offense is designed to put guys in position to be successful because of play design. And so you give them the whole offense. Now, you're talking about the keys. I think, the how is he going to have the keys to the car, so to speak, like you said? And like Mike McCarthy said in that Super Bowl run with Aaron, it comes down to audible. And it comes down to what is Jordan Love seeing out there. And I think that's why it's so critically important that Tom Clements stayed on this staff, because to have a guy like Tom Clements coming off the field and looking at the previous series and looking at film and asking him, what are you seeing out there? That's really going to be, I think, does LaFleur trust Jordan Love in what he sees out there? Because we saw it in some of the mini camps. Jordan Love still made those types of plays, for example, throwing late down the middle of the field right into an interception. And so he still has a tendency to make those types of plays. And so it's really going to be, here's the whole playbook, but do I trust Jordan Love in what he sees pre-snap read and post-snap read? I think that's where the question mark's really going to come in.
I don't know if you've gotten a chance to listen to any of the episodes. It's called The Play Callers. It's a podcast. It's got some of the NFL coaches that are part of the same tree: Kyle Shanahan, Matt LaFleur, Sean McVay, and such. And Kyle Shanahan, one of them, I got to kind of bleep out some of the stuff he said, but he said, so what am I going to do going into this game? I'm going to run it every blank play until I don't have to. He was talking about that 2020 divisional game, 49ers and such. Could you see a scenario where, those 49ers teams with Kyle Shanahan, we know we've been the victim of some of those teams, right? Where they threw the ball maybe 10 total times, and if that many times. But could you see a scenario where that's Green Bay this year, where Jordan Love's almost treated a little bit like Jimmy G was with San Francisco under Kyle Shanahan?
No question. Look, if you see something on game film, and by the way, it is on my list to follow. It's interesting because both the offensive coordinator and myself over at Eau Claire Memorial are going to start watching or listening to it and being a part of it together. And but there's no question. Again, this goes back to it that the Shanahan offense, the LaFleur offense, the McVay offense, you are looking at weakness points from a defensive standpoint. You are looking through film and preparing for that game. And if you see that we can run the ball 30 times in a game and be successful, you're going to do it. And I think that's the key here is again, you just always relied on 12. You just always relied on Aaron Rodgers. And I think Mike McCarthy towards the end of his career, and I think you saw it a little bit with Matt LaFleur. But this offense is predicated on where is that weak point of the defense, and we're going to attack it and attack it and attack it because they can't stop us. And yeah, you're going to see a game where Jordan Love is, inefficient 14 out of 19, but they run the ball 36 times. And so, yeah, I don't have any question in my mind that you're going to see different game planning, because I think that's the core element of this offense is, again, you are looking for where is the weakest point on that defensive side of the ball, and how can we extract that, and how can we manipulate that to our advantage.
I think that's something maybe a lot of people don't realize, and you kind of alluded to it too, is the Aaron Rodgers factor, where I personally believe there was many times that Matt LaFleur would have rather have maybe ran the ball 30, 35 times, but you've got a presence like Aaron Rodgers out there, and you brought up the audible thing. What was the first thing that was under Matt LaFleur the first year? Everybody was running away with the talking point of audibling, right? I mean, that was a topic of conversation. Aaron wanted to audible. He wanted that free control on the offensive line and that sort of thing. I feel like personally, I don't have any insight, that I think Matt LaFleur wanted to run the ball a whole lot more these last couple of years in Green Bay.
Yeah, I don't think there was any contention between Rodgers and LaFleur. I think they were, for the most part, on the same page. And again, when you've got that kind of talent and truly, I think, from Rodgers' standpoint of reading the line of scrimmage, I think there's really, in the history of the game, very few that are better than 12. And so, yeah, when you've got that, you do make the adjustments. And whether or not LaFleur privately, in his basement or whatever, lamented how much Aaron Rodgers changed plays, who knows? None of us know that, other than, what was going on in Matt LaFleur's head. But yeah, I think there were probably times when he said, no, this is what the defense has given us. Let's run the plays that work. And so, yeah, I think it's going to be a completely new look and an opportunity for Matt LaFleur to either shine or to tank. because I think this is a really critical year for him because I think he's made some young coaching mistakes over the last couple of years, and I think they've been kind of minimized because of Aaron Rodgers. I think now those coaching mistakes, they're going to come back to haunt him if he doesn't fix them. And so this is going to be the year where the spotlight shines clearly on Matt LaFleur and his well-groomed eyebrows.
Hey, I got to ask you this. When you look at the NFC North all around, I mean, it's people I know the last couple of weeks are asking me how I feel this is going to play out. I know the Lions are the favorite, but I think there's so many question marks surrounding this whole division. But, looking at head coaches, Matt LaFleur and Dan Campbell are the veteran coaches now within this division. Which coach do you trust the most? Is it Matt LaFleur? Is it Dan Campbell? Is it Kevin O'Connell heading into his second year? Matt Eberflus heading into his second year with the Bears? I mean, these are very young coaching staffs, but if you had to pick one to run your team, who you rolling with?
Dan Campbell at this point, just because I think he has taken a team from the bottom and brought them up to respectability. And so right now, he's the guy that I trust the most. I think LaFleur is second. I think the other two, because of tenure, are pretty much tied for third. But yeah, there's no question that I think Campbell has, and I go back to it, Campbell has the respect of the team. Campbell has these guys buying in and playing for them. And I think, and I'm just going to say this, and you and I have had some conversations off the air about this. I think there's been a faction, in the Packer organization. I think one side of the locker room was over in this area, and I'll call that the 12 area. And I think the other side of the locker room was in the 10 area, or I'll say the younger player area. So I don't think this team has been united. And I think Matt LaFleur has the job now of one team. He's the guy. It's his offense. It's his team. And so this, again, is going to be a telltale year. But Campbell, I think there's no question those guys would run through a wall for him and do whatever it takes to make that team make that next step.
And to kind of go back to what you're saying about LaFleur, kind of connecting this team together, it ain't going to happen this year. But do you think that's where maybe you'd like to maybe see him give up play calling duties because he's got to fix those other areas?
Absolutely. Look, you and I have been doing this on the air for several years, Captain, and I've never been a fan of a head coach being your play caller. Never, ever, 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 ever am I a fan of that. I think it's too distracting. You have to have a CEO perspective, a global perspective on your football team as head coach. And when you are calling plays, you are so in the moment. You are so into that. What am I calling next? What am I doing next? What am I doing next? And you lose track of the full game, and you lose track of the global perspective. And so, yeah, 100%. If they are not successful this year, and Matt LaFleur struggles in this position, and he's kept on for another year after this, I think one of the things that they're going to say to him that it's going to be, look, you got to be the head coach. You got to put this team together. You got to give up the offensive play calling. So yeah, I think that's going to be a big telltale sign this year, whether or not Matt LaFleur can be head coach and the de facto offensive coordinator at the same time.
Yeah, because I mean, that's one thing he probably didn't have to worry too much about. Aaron Rodgers was sitting on the bench with him and going through plays and all that sort of stuff. You got Tom Clements in that there too, but I got to imagine he's going to want to be talking more with Jordan Love on the sidelines when the defense is on the field or in between plays, as opposed to what he did with Aaron these last few years.
Yeah, no doubt. And so again, I just never you can't be, in my opinion, you can't be head coach and de facto offensive coordinator. You just can't do it. It's just too much. And there's a rare occasion, the coaches out there that have been successful at that. But yeah, I think again, this is why I'm coming full circle. Matt LaFleur's success this year, Matt LaFleur's growth this year, Matt LaFleur's development, his vision, everything about Matt LaFleur is going to be under the spotlight. If Matt LaFleur grows as a coach, this team can be successful. If Matt LaFleur doesn't, he might be looking for a new job next offseason.
I agree. All right, Joe. Hey, appreciate the time as always. And well, we're getting a little bit closer. Are we wrapping up your list? Do you have a couple more? Was that your number one, dude?
That was three.
That was
three.
Okay.
We got two more. So that was my third. We got two more. So next week will be number two. And right as training camp is starting, that'll be our number one. So we've gone 8 weeks, and so now we got two left.
Got it. Sounds good. All right. We might have to see if anybody can guess who your top two. How about that? I'll throw it out to everybody.
Well, throw it out, but if people have been following and know who the first 8 were, it's really not going to be hard to figure out those top two.
I think I got an idea, but I won't spoil it. So, Joe, appreciate the time as always, buddy. You have a good rest of your week, and we'll chat again soon.
All right, brother. Take care, man.
You got it. There you go. There's Joe joining us here this morning. We got to take a quick break, and then we'll finish up the second hour after these quick words.
Got a take on today's topics but can't call in? Then hit us up on Facebook, Twitter, or the text line and let your fingers do the talking.
Today's job market is full of demand for skilled trade workers. Electricians, welders, mechanics, these and other trades are the backbone of every community. They're also a huge part in making sure the Army National Guard is always fulfilling its mission of service to our country and communities. Soldiers train to keep the power flowing, engines running, and supplies moving. The skilled trades these soldiers perform are the same ones needed in today's civilian workforce. Army National Guard soldiers are on the fast track to learning skills that can set them up for success at home with companies looking to hire the best. With options from plumber to helicopter mechanic and everything in between, soldiers are able to select the trades that best fit their lives. Their resumes are being built through their paid training and part-time service. Find out how you too can learn a trade profession and serve your community and country by visiting NationalGuard.com. Sponsored by the Wisconsin Army National Guard, aired by the Wisconsin Broadcasters Association and this station.
Parents, are you tired of helping put your kids' shoes on? They're squirming, watching cartoons, anything but helping. Luckily, it's Skechers to the rescue. Introducing new hands-free Skechers slip-ins. Footwear you can just get your kids to step into and their shoes are on. You don't need to bend over. You don't need to sit on the floor and try to wrangle them on. And they're available in all types of Skechers styles with and without laces, and most are machine washable. Find Skechers slip-ins for kids or mom and dad at a Skechers store, Skechers.com, or wherever stylish shoes are sold.
This is Scott Pasak, owner of Kofak Chevrolet. We have a fantastic selection of vehicles in stock, and if you don't see what you're looking for, we will find it for you. We strive to provide an excellent customer experience, so stop in and see what makes Kofak Chevrolet different. Visit both of our lots in downtown Colfax, and for a buying experience completely online, visit KofakChev.com. It's always a fantastic day at Kofak Chevrolet.
The teen years are a great time for your child to gain practical experience in managing finances. Perhaps he or she already has a summer job lined up. A free checking account at Dairy State Bank can help teens learn to set a budget, track spending, use a debit card, make deposits, and more. Plus, parents are account co-owners and have the ability to supervise the learning process. Give them a call today. Dairy State Bank, member FDIC.
Banking on relationships, Dairy State Bank.
America is kept safe because the Army National Guard responds, protects, and supports our nation when it needs them most. From fighting wildfires with air support, helping civilians in flooded neighborhoods, to delivering food and supplies to those who have lost everything, the Army National Guard always responds when disaster strikes. The Army National Guard also trains to be ever vigilant against threats, foreign and domestic. They protect our skies with missile defense weaponry. They secure our information, communications, and infrastructure with cybersecurity. And they protect us against chemical, biological, and radiological hazards with the civilian support team. The Army National Guard also stands ready to deploy and provide support for conflicts or humanitarian missions abroad. Join the Army National Guard and be there to respond, protect, and support your community and your country. Visit NationalGuard.com to learn more about part-time service. Sponsored by the Wisconsin Army National Guard, aired by the Wisconsin Broadcasters Association and this station.
Now that you've gotten a few rounds of golf in, either for fun or for league, let me ask you, how's your back feeling? Or what about those weekend-long softball tournaments? How are you feeling when you show up to work on Monday mornings? Been there. You're limping around and it's difficult to even get out of bed or your office chair. Well, stop limping around and complaining about that pain you have and do something about it. Make your appointment right now with Shepke Chiropractic. Shepke Chiropractic's goal is to work with each patient to achieve their goals and perform to their fullest potential in the capacity that their life requires. So if you're dealing with some back pain from all those extracurricular activities like golfing or playing ball, or because of all those home projects that you're working on, help relieve that back pain by making your appointment with Dr. Logan Shepke. Plus, they have 2 locations to help better serve you. Your journey to a healthier, more fulfilled practice. Make your appointment today at one of their 2 locations by visiting ShepkeChiropractic.com. That's ShepkeChiropractic.com.
Shop Menards for big savings on everyday household essentials. Choose from assorted flavors of Marcella coffee. Available in ground, whole bean, or 12-count single brew cups. Just $4.89 each after rebate. Stock up on cleaning supplies. Tide Simply All-in-One Laundry Detergent is just $8.89 after 11% off. 6 packs of Brownie paper towels only $9.99 after rebate. Good through July 16th. Savings or mail-in rebate. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards.
Solving mysteries is hard. Streaming them isn't. We need to know what happened.
There's someone else pulling the strings here.
This month, get in touch with your inner detective and stream the best selection of British mysteries during Mystery Month on BritBox.
That is interesting.
Watch entire series of fan favorites, including the newest seasons of Luther, Silent Witness, Father Brown, Vera, and more.
My lips are sealed.
No one does mystery like the Brits. Start streaming now with a free trial at BritBox.com.
More than the scores. More than the news. It's Sports Out the Squeaker. The Dan Kasper Show.
Coming up next hour, we will catch up with the Eau Claire Express. The Express starting off the second half hot, 4-0, but dropping the last 3 in a row, all against the Bucks of Waterloo. The Express got one more game at Carson Park tonight against Waterloo before heading off to La Crosse for a quick doubleheader tomorrow, and then back to Carson Park Thursday and Friday, taking on Bismarck. But we'll catch up with the Express just past 8 o'clock here this morning. Then after that, we will chat with RJ Cardinal, our Badger analyst from Masson. Talk some college football with him. Obviously, the big story out there within the college football world, Northwestern firing their head coach Fitzgerald, amid hazing claims within the football program. Remember, it was just a few years ago before the Packers hired Matt LaFleur that there was some reports, some rumors, some rumblings that maybe Pat Fitzgerald was the guy that the Packers wanted to hire because of Mark Murphy's connection and, well, working with Pat Fitzgerald at Northwestern. So, but definitely a shakeup within the Big Ten and in college football. So we'll talk a little college football with Mr. RJ Cardinal coming up at about 8:25 here this morning. Catching up on some of the texts here, going back to the All-Star and Home Run Derby. It's about 50-50, I would say, kind of adding up, informal polls, if you will, adding up some of the thoughts on Home Run Derby, whether you still watch it, still get into it or not. It's about 50-50, I would say right now. In terms of the All-Star game, I would say the majority is saying that you still watch the All-Star game and it is your favorite All-Star game amongst the big four, if you will. You were talking baseball, hockey, football, and basketball. And I would go with the majority on that one. If I were to rank them, my favorite All-Star games amongst the big four, it's MLB. I'd actually go NHL number 2 for me, NBA number 3, Pro Bowl at number 4. But again, It's like some of these All-Star games too, I think got to remember it might be geared more towards the kids or the younger fan bases and that stuff out there too. Had some feedback too. Speaking of the NBA here, really quick, because I'm going to get cut off here by the shot clock. We were talking about the NBA Cup yesterday, and we put it up in a podcast. Don't forget to follow and subscribe to the Man Cave Podcast, brought to you by our good friends from Hy-Vee and Toyson Ford on your favorite podcasting platform. But we had a little NBA Cup chat on there, and I would say it's, again, probably about 60-40, maybe 50-50, but I'd say 60-40, not in favor of the NBA Cup. Or I should say not in favor, but don't really care about the NBA Cup, or they're not going to pay extra attention to the NBA because of their in-season tournament. And from a few of you who reached out, and appreciate that, give me some feedback after listening to the pod. I always love that. But from a few of you reaching out after listening to it, you're like, it was just kind of too confusing to maybe follow along with the different rounds, and scheduling wise it might get a little difficult, and you just keep it simple. Keep it simple was kind of the theme from many of you. So if you haven't taken a listen to it, go ahead, and after we're done, of course, starting at 9, go check out the latest episode of the Man Cave Podcast on your favorite podcasting platforms. All right, 2 in, 1 more to go on this Tuesday morning. Some news updates, and then we will be back in just a couple minutes.
WAYY Eau Claire, W286CK Eau Claire, Sports Talk 105.1 and 790 AM. From the 715 Newsroom, it's Morgan McCarthy with your news on Sports Talk 105.1.
Well, good morning. Here's what we're learning today. We'll start locally with the sheriff in Dunn County looking into a string of mailbox explosions. Deputies say they got a call about a handful of mailboxes that blew up in the township of Rock Creek over the weekend, and they're not saying what was used to blow up the mailboxes, but say it was likely fireworks or some other kind of homemade explosive. The sheriff's office saying the explosions are likely not targeted. No reports of any injuries. Well, a strike on tap with some 24 employees at the Jacob Kugel Brewing Company in Chippewa Falls hitting the picket line early Monday morning. Dan Boley, a spokesperson for Teamsters Union Local 662, saying,
We're on strike today. We're tired of the subpar wages and looking for a fair contract.
A spokesman for Molson Coors said the brewery has made a competitive offer that exceeds local market rates for similar unionized roles. The last strike at Chippewa Falls Brewery was in the 1980s. As we look to other headlines from the courts, it'll be a couple more years and likely not much of a change for Daryl Brooks. A judge in Milwaukee yesterday sentenced Brooks to 2 years in prison for carrying a gun during a 2020 shooting. Now those extra years come on top of 6 consecutive life sentences that Brooks is serving for killing 6 people and injuring 60 others when he drove through the Waukesha Christmas parade in 2021. Brooks could be looking at more prison time as well. He has yet to go on trial for running over his ex. That was just before he plowed through the parade. Take a peek at the political stage where it's early action, about 15 months away from Election Day 2024, but a hat in the ring in the race for Congress in our area. Democrat Rebecca Cook yesterday said she's entering the race to take on Republican Congressman Derek Van Orden. Cook ran 2 years ago but didn't make it out of the Democratic primary, and this time around says she wants to connect with more people in the Eau Claire area and the rest of the western part of our state. Van Orden, serving his first term, is seen as a possible target for Democrats next fall. His campaign says Cook is, quote, extreme and wrong for western Wisconsin. And you're looking for something sweet? This is the month to dish up.
Monster Cookie Dough Ice Cream features vanilla ice cream laced with brown sugar and loaded with candy-coated chocolate morsels, peanut butter cookie dough pieces, and dark chocolate chunks. President Ronald Reagan gave July the title of National Ice Cream Month in 1984 and designated the third Sunday of July National Ice Cream Day. That's July the 16th this year. The brand new flavor is in stores now in half-gallon and pint sizes. I'm Mark Mayfield.
That's so weird. Casper was working on a new recipe for another beer, but I don't think this one's going to go down as smooth as those Man Cave Lights do. Said he wants to add
vanilla ice cream laced with brown sugar and loaded with candy-coated chocolate morsels, peanut butter cookie dough pieces, and dark chocolate chunks.
For Sports Talk 105.1, I'm Morgan McCarthy.
Our Tuesday is off to a dry start as skies have turned mainly clear. That said, do expect beautiful weather throughout the day. Plenty of sunshine. We'll see highs in the upper 70s. By this evening, a few scattered showers will be possible, turning partly to mostly cloudy, lows in the upper 50s. And then for your Wednesday, we'll have a mix of sun and clouds, chances for a few more showers, highs in the upper 70s. I'm Skywarn 13 meteorologist Derek Dahlman.
At Staples, school savings are always in session. From art supplies and essentials to the latest tech, in stock and priced low. School on, save on at your local Staples store.
Let me ask you something. Did you name your firstborn after a football player?
Hell yeah.
Did you spend your honeymoon going to a football game?
Oh, you betcha, yeah.
Do you spend most of your free time hanging out in your man cave?
Yes! Yes! Yes!
If you answered yes to all the above, then you, my friend, are a serious sports fan just like Dan.
Yes!
This is exactly where you belong. Sports talking and BSing is what we do best.
What? Did we just become best friends? Yup.
So rise and grind, people, because the Dan Kasper Show is on the air.
You serious, Clark?
Right now.
Showtime! Woo!
All right, third and final hour kicking off on this Tuesday morning, July 11th. Hopefully you're all off to a fantastic start this morning. Appreciate you tuning in however you may be tuning in, whether it's on the good old-fashioned radio dials at 105.1 FM or 790 AM online, sportstalk1051.com. You can get the link to stream it up over there. You've got your Google and Alexa home devices. And, of course, the video stream rocking and rolling on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel over there. We're going to be putting up some more video content up there. So you want to make sure you're subscribing over there for free. I hate that word subscribe sometimes because whenever I think of subscribe, it's like you got to pay for something, like you're subscribing to magazine, yearly subscription to a magazine or something like that. For the podcast, for the YouTube channel, anything like that, you don't got to pay anything. All right. It's just kind of like following, or that way you get those notifications when like a new content or a new episode is dropped over there. But we got some new things that are going to be popping up on the YouTube channel over there. So go ahead and find that link. Look at, I think they got that new funky address when it comes to YouTube. So it's youtube.com/@Dan Kasper on there. But we've got Green and Gold Chalk Talk with, the football season getting ready to get going here with training camp and such. We're going to be doing 2 episodes during the season, during football season for Green and Gold Chalk Talk, one after every game, one to preview every game. We might only stick to one during the preseason. I don't know. I think we'll still do 2 during training camp and preseason and such. But in a couple weeks, we're going to be dropping 2 of those each week out there. We got a new one out there called Get Out of Here with some interesting sports nuggets, stats, or facts. Put one up last night. And we got a little history thing. Kind of, I think we're going to call it like Hurry Up History is what we're going to call it on there. So make sure you're following, subscribing, I guess is the proper term, but I hate that word, to the YouTube channel, because all that video content is going to be up on the YouTube page over there. So coming up at the bottom of the hour here, we are also going to chat up with RJ Cardinal, our good buddy from the Zone in Madison. Obviously the big news in the college football world in the Big Ten, especially too, with Pat Fitzgerald from Northwestern being fired after he initially was suspended for a couple of days, but now yesterday, it was announced Northwestern has fired their head coach, Pat Fitzgerald, amid reports, allegations of hazing claims going on within the football program. According to the mothership, according to ESPN, defensive coordinator David Brown is expected to be named the Wildcats' acting coach. This was from part of a release from the university. The head coach is ultimately responsible for the culture of his team. University President Michael Schill wrote in an open letter to the school community. The hazing we investigated was widespread and clearly not a secret within the program, providing Coach Fitzgerald with the opportunity to learn what was happening. Either way, the culture in Northwestern football, while incredible in some ways, was broken in others. So, Fitzgerald, I'm just looking here, in a statement to ESPN said he was surprised, quote, surprised when I learned that the president of Northwestern unilaterally revoked our agreement without any prior notification and subsequently terminated my employment. So we'll talk more about that with Mr. R.J. Cardinal, though, coming up here towards the bottom of the hour. Let's catch up with some Express Nuggets, though. The second half of the season underway for the Eau Claire Express, and they began their season, second half of the season, on a hot note, starting 4-0 to kick off the second half of the season. Now, remember, the Express already have clinched up a playoff spot, becoming the first half champions out there. But they started off second half 4-0, and the last three kind of having some issues with the Bucks of Waterloo. They've dropped their last three games all against Waterloo. But tonight they'll get one more shot at Waterloo. I think this is the last time. Nope, they got Waterloo one more time, or I should say two more games coming up next week. But they got Waterloo again tonight at Carson Park, 6:35. Try to buck off the Bucks, if you will, before they head off to La Crosse for a quick doubleheader tomorrow against the Loggers, and then returning home to Carson Park for a couple games against Bismarck. But if you're looking at the standings right now for the second half of the season, you got Waterloo, who is in first place in the Great Plains East Division. Waterloo 6-1. La Crosse off to a good start in the second half as well. They're 5-1, so got another tough game. Couple games coming up for the Express tomorrow. And then right after, we got Duluth, who's 4-3, tied with Eau Claire for third in the division right now. So, but if you're looking at some of the promotions coming up, because we got a few games coming up here for the Eau Claire Express, all at Carson Park tonight, July 11th. We got the T-shirt giveaway presented by Close Up Apparel. Good friends from Close Up Apparel. Shout out to Todd and company over there. They're the ones that are also coming up with our T-shirts, designed our T-shirts for the Kasper Classic that will be available on August 4th at the Kasper Classic. Put that in your note, collect your tees there. So we got that going on. We got, I know Sammy, when we've had Sammy on a few times, she's talked about this night, Young Professionals in Sports Night coming up on the 13th. So young professionals wanting to get into sports, perfect night to head on over to Carson Park on Thursday. The Superstars, I can never say it properly, I apologize. Superstars heading over on the 14th, Friday night. They're the always popular group over there. That'll be a lot of fun there too. And then on the 16th, so you got a game presented by Visit Eau Claire. Off day on the 17th, my birthday on the 17th, and they have an off day. What the heck is up with that? Maybe that means I can go have a brewski with Varsho or something like that. I don't know. We'll have to see what he's doing. But then they'll be back at it a week from today on the road against Waterloo. The Great Lakes All-Star Game, by the way, we got that's going to be on the, looking at the schedule here, on the 25th, it looks like. So that's the Great Lakes Water or All-Star break. And then they've got the Great Plains All-Star Game is on August 1st, though. So got the Great Lakes on Tuesday the 25th. The Great Plains, which the Express are a part of, is August 1st. So they got their All-Star break July 31st, August 1st, and August 2nd on there. But with the draft yesterday, with the Major League Baseball draft yesterday, we had some Express alums getting their name called. And if you want, you should be following them on Facebook, following the Express on Facebook, and you can see some of the names that were announced as being drafted yesterday. It's got to be such a cool thing. I know we've talked about that before, but being a young kid or young 22-year-old man, 21-year-old man, 18, 19, however old, you'd be entering, MLB draft, NBA draft, NFL draft, NHL draft, whatever it may be. But to hear your name called, like from a team, I don't care if you're picked 300 something or you're in a top 10 pick. To hear your name called, to get the phone call from the team saying that that you're being selected, that's got to be such an awesome feeling. But some of the players, we got Connor Burns, 2021 Express alum. Connor Burns was selected with the 141st pick in the draft yesterday by the Cincinnati Reds. Carter Graham, he was also a 2021 Express alum, picked 228th, and he's going to the Cincinnati Reds. So Cincinnati Reds grabbing a couple of Express alums from 2021. Another 2021 alum, Eddie Park, was selected 239th overall by the Chicago White Sox. So also these were a couple of the West Coast kids: Connor Burns, Long Beach State; Carter Graham, Stanford; Eddie Park, Stanford. And then we've got remember Charlie last year, former UW Stouts player Charlie Seguani, if I mispronounced his last name. But remember Charlie? I think he was the one that was doing like the Conor McGregor when he'd hit a home run last year, kind of the Conor McGregor walkout sort of thing. But he was selected with the 270th pick by the San Francisco Giants yesterday. So congratulations to all of the Eau Claire Express alums being drafted, hearing their name called, getting the phone call that they're going to be drafted. That's got to be such a cool feeling. Man, that's got to be cool. So, but again, looking at the upcoming schedule here for the Express, home game tonight against Waterloo, 6:35. You've got lacrosse coming at it at doubleheader. That's on the road against the Loggers tomorrow. Then they're back home for a couple games Thursday and Friday against Bismarck before the Express. Well, then a quick road trip to Rochester on Saturday, but then they're back at home the 16th against Rochester. So that's your quick Express update here this morning. Going back to some of the texts here, more people chiming in here. Ben talking about the All-Star game. MLB All-Star game is easily my favorite one. It's the game that feels more like a true game. The other ones are too gimmicky for me. But if I had to pick a second one, I would probably go with the NBA. I'm not the biggest hockey fan, so I can't say, or I can't rank them on there because I can't remember the last time I watched an NHL All-Star game. That's from Ben on our Shoe Doctors bullpen line over there. This one is from Tim. The home run derby, I still kind of casually pay attention to it. Definitely not as much as I used to when I was a youngster. Loved watching Ken Griffey Jr. and Mark McGwire and Barry Bonds in the home run derby back in the day. Yeah, I put together my top 5. In case you missed it, Brandon's probably upset that I did a top 5 without him. But I did my top 5 home run derby participants from 1990 on. I mean, if I did an all-time home run derby field out there, I think a lot of us probably would have some of the same players. Hank Aaron, Babe Ruth, Willie Mays, maybe throwing in Ted Williams over there too and such. But so I just did it from 1990 to on. And it was kind of a mixture of like, okay, my favorite players as a kid and just who I thought would be cool to be in a home run derby against each other. So Junior was number 1 for me. I mean, that's the easy pick. I think if anybody was doing it from 1990 to on and you don't put Junior on there, you're missing out. You got to put Junior on there, backwards cap and everything. So Junior on there. I had McGwire. I put Mark McGwire. So yes, obviously performance enhancers are allowed in this home run derby that we're doing. So McGwire on there. Bonds I had on there. Pujols never won one. When I looked it up, he never won one, but he participated in quite a few of them. So I put the machine. I got to put Albert Pujols in there. And for my 5th one, I went back and forth between my 5th one and my honorable mention. But since the man won it twice, and he is a former Milwaukee Brewer, I went with Prince Fielder. at number 5, a little bit more of a nostalgia one. But my honorable mention was the Big Hurt, Frank Thomas, because he was one of my first favorite Major League Baseball players out there. So, but if you haven't had a chance to give me your dream home run derby lineup, stick with 5 or 6 since I did an honorable mention. From 1990 to current, what would that field look like? And if you don't want to do 5, you just want to throw a couple out there, that's fine. I'm easy going that way. You can send those puppies on over. But hit me up with a text, all right? 715-830-1912 on that Shoe Doctor's bullpen line. All right, tell you what, let's take a quick break, and then we'll talk some college football here with Mr. RJ from the Zone in Madison. Talk a little bit about, obviously, with the shakeup in college football, Pat Fitzgerald being fired from Northwestern. We'll talk about that and some other stuff going on with the Badgers related. So, quick break, and we'll be back in just a couple minutes.
The Dan Kasper Show will be right back.
Now that you've gotten a few rounds of golf in, either for fun or for league, let me ask you, how's your back feeling? Or what about those weekend-long softball tournaments? How are you feeling when you show up to work on Monday mornings? Been there. You're limping around and it's difficult to even get out of bed or your office chair. Well, stop limping around and complaining about that pain you have and do something about it. Make your appointment right now with Shepke Chiropractic. Shepke Chiropractic's goal is to work with each patient to achieve their goals and perform to their fullest potential in the capacity that their life requires. So if you're dealing with some back pain from all those extracurricular activities like golfing or playing ball, or because of all those home projects that you're working on, help relieve that back pain by making your appointment with Dr. Logan Shepke. Plus, they have 2 locations to help better serve you. Your journey to a healthier, more fulfilling life starts here at Shepke Chiropractic. Make your appointment today at one of their 2 locations by visiting ShepkeChiropractic.com. That's ShepkeChiropractic.com.
This is Scott Pasak, owner of Koufax Chevrolet. We have a fantastic selection of vehicles in stock, and if you don't see what you're looking for, we will find it for you. We strive to provide an excellent customer experience, so stop in and see what makes Koufax Chevrolet different. Visit both of our lots in downtown Koufax, and for a buying experience completely online, visit KoufaxChev.com. It's always a fantastic day at Koufax Chevrolet.
Kentucky Fried Chicken's new Ultimate Barbecue Fried Chicken Sandwich. An extra crispy filet loaded with hickory smoked bacon, cheese, crispy onions, and sweet honey barbecue sauce. It tastes just like summer, but like the good part of summer, not leaving the tent door open and waking up to a swarm of mosquitoes, 2 chipmunks, and one very, very large woodchuck. Anyway, try KFC's new Ultimate Barbecue Fried Chicken Sandwich. It's a barbecue in every bite. That's finger-licking good. For a limited time at participating locations while supplies last, prices may vary.
Mark your calendars, car lovers. It's time for the 3rd annual ASAP Used Auto Parts Car Show. The ASAP Used Auto Parts Car Show will be held on Wednesday, July 19th from 5 p.m. until 8 p.m. at the ASAP Used Auto Parts location at 1330 Menominee Street in Eau Claire. Whether you want to bring your vehicle to show off or you just want to check out the impressive lineup yourself, you won't want to miss out on this epic car show. So we will see you July 19th for the 3rd annual ASAP Used Auto Parts Car Show.
Today's job market is full of demand for skilled trade workers. Electricians, welders, mechanics, these and other trades are the backbone of every community. They're also a huge part in making sure the Army National Guard is always fulfilling its mission of service to our country and communities. Soldiers train to keep the power flowing, engines running, and supplies moving. The skilled trades these soldiers perform are the same ones needed in today's civilian workforce. Army National Guard soldiers are on the fast track to learning skills that can set them up for success at home with companies looking to hire the best. With options from plumber to helicopter mechanic and everything in between, soldiers are able to select the trades that best fit their lives. Their resumes are being built through their paid training and part-time service. Find out how you too can learn a trade profession and serve your community and country by visiting NationalGuard.com. Sponsored by the Wisconsin Army National Guard. Aired by the Wisconsin Broadcasters Association and this station.
The teen years are a great time for your child to gain practical experience in managing finances. Perhaps he or she already has a summer job lined up. A free checking account at Dairy State Bank can help teens learn to set a budget, track spending, use a debit card, make deposits, and more. Plus, parents are account co-owners and have the ability to supervise the learning process. Give them a call today. Dairy State Bank, member FDIC.
Banking on relationships, Dairy State Bank.
Do you remember all those times playing in the backyard and daydreaming of either playing on your favorite sports team or dreaming about all the goals you wanted to accomplish in life? We still do that today, and that's why we created Backyard Dreams. We want to help people accomplish their goals, chase their passions, and achieve their dreams. Whether someone's dream is to attend a ball game, someone needs a new pair of basketball shoes, or a Little League team needs help going to a tournament, we want to help, and we need your help as well to help our community. To learn more about Backyard Dreams, just visit sportstalk1051.com.
Let's bring him in right away, Mr. RJ Cardinal, our Badger analyst, college sports analyst from the Zone in Madison. RJ, we've been kind of talking about it off and on here this morning, but the big news in the college football world, the Big Ten world, the firing of head coach Pat Fitzgerald at Northwestern after allegations of, or I should say, hazing claims going on within the football program, RJ. At first, let's kind of rewind it here a little bit. When you first heard this, about a few days ago or so, late last week or such, because he was initially suspended for 2 weeks. What was the first thought that kind of went your mind? Like for me, it was like, really at Northwestern with Pat Fitzgerald, because all we hear about, how, good of a guy he is. He was in the running. Apparently, the Packers were interested in hiring him as a head coach a few years ago because of the connection with Mark Murphy when he was at Northwestern. I was shocked of not saying other teams or anything like that would be doing it, but of all teams, Northwestern, Pat Fitzgerald, it kind of took me back a little bit.
Yeah, shock. And then when you saw it was originally just a 2-week unpaid slap on the wrist, you thought, oh, well, it couldn't be that bad. And then that Northwestern Daily article comes out with 2 anonymous football players, and you find out they have apparently, at least since 2020, maybe a little before, and now that more media outlets have had former and current players reach out to them and let them know about at least 2019, I guess, that there is this culture that was created that, the only place it's really been mentioned now is in the Northwestern Daily or Daily Northwestern article, and other media outlets to refer you just to that article because they don't want to write it down.
Mm-hmm.
It's always pretty bad when that happens. They have the way it's been described has made it kind of, at least from my perspective, the way it's been described, there's no way the head coach didn't know about it.
Yeah.
When you have a list of names and the things they are going to be punished for on the whiteboard in the locker room, you have to actively avoid the locker room to never see that. In some reports, players have said Fitzgerald knew about it. He used the hand signals and the language that the Shrek gang would use for their running list and their Shrek list. And either that's a guy who is hearing stuff and trying to fit in, or he actually knows about it. And one way or another, if you're using that lingo and using hand gestures and things like that, you better make sure you know what they mean. Otherwise, it really appears you're a part of the problem. So from the outside looking in, with only anonymous sources right now, and it seems more and more players are coming out and saying, yeah, that's a thing. And most of them say he either knew about it or actually like really knew about it. So there's some truth there. And I mean, if that's the case, and he said it before, I mean, there's that clip that's come out recently that says hazing has no place in college athletics, and specifically college football. And it starts and ends with me, and I make sure that that doesn't happen. That bad time for somebody to have saved that little interview he did. But yeah, it's not a good look. And you know, he put out the letter last night saying he has his agent and his legal team going in and going to be talking with the university after they made an agreement and agreed upon the 2-week suspension, only to have this happen without notice. Whew. As more and more stuff comes out, right now at least, from really only the anonymous side, it's not a good look for Pat Fitzgerald. And who knows, maybe, I mean, I don't know if that agreement is in writing or whatever, but I don't know how you can come back from this. It'll be interesting to see what actually comes of taking legal action against Northwestern.
Right, and you kind of mentioned you know, some of the reports and the statements, and I thought one of the most damning ones was when the university president last night, you know, part of it said that the hazing we investigated was widespread and clearly not a secret within the program, providing Coach Fitzgerald with the opportunity to learn what was happening. I mean, that pretty much just says, dude, you knew about it and you didn't do anything about it. I mean, he called them out, it seems like, right there.
Yeah, and now you have other players who are like, hey, this is two people who haven't even shown up in person to talk to us, so it's cowardly of them to do it. I mean, like I said, from the outside looking in, all the information on the outside of the situation we've seen, I don't really think they need to sit in front of you and give you their explanation when all this stuff has come out. Sure, you can think you're entitled to it, but I mean, if they're not in town, I mean, granted, they probably should get back in town and do that, but I mean, it's not a delicate situation of wins and losses, and you really love the coach and you need somebody there to hold your hand. For the stuff that's come out, I mean, quick and easy, like pulling off a Band-Aid is probably the way to go about it. And I mean, Northwestern being a private school, people are like, well, why didn't this come out earlier? Well, for the most part, as a private school, they really don't have to be sharing everything. It's the one school where you don't really know what the football staffs make. It's they can keep that stuff private. So who knows? Maybe if there is something there, they'll settle out of court with a alumni paying out Fitzgerald and whatnot. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this progresses moving forward, if indeed there is some kind of legal battle that we're gonna see moving into the football season.
It's 2023, RJ. Like, why do some of these programs, why do some of these teams still think that they can get away with doing stuff like this? You know, I just that to me is mind-boggling too. Like,
yeah.
Do you not think it would eventually come out if you continue to do this at some point?
That's one of those where I don't think there's times I can remember I didn't think of repercussions for stuff I did in college. I can't say I've ever done anything close to what I've read that was happening in Northwestern. But I mean, this is now a second program that is getting involved with abusive behavior and things like that. Their baseball coach is under investigation for bullying and abuse in the baseball program. So this first year AD and a relatively new president, I think, really have their hands full on the athletic side, where, just even last year, the whole athletic department looked like it was on the up and up. It'll kind of a touchy situation to be walking into.
Have you, because you've, I believe, looked into this more than I have. Did you read anywhere like how long they've said that this has been going on, or has it been going on for a while? Do you know that you've read, or is it something more recent out there?
It seems like at a definitive date, I don't know, but for the people they've talked to, at least 2019.
Okay. Which is interesting timeline-wise, because I brought up the notion that it sounded like Green Bay was interested in hiring Pat Fitzgerald, and Pat Fitzgerald could have gone to other programs or universities, it seems like, if he wanted to, but he elected to stay at Northwestern. So it's just kind of an interesting, if that is the accurate timeline and that sort of thing.
Right, and it's by all the media outlets that I've kind of read, and the players, former and current, they've talked to, it seems so far the ones that have spoken up is 2019. So it is kind of interesting. Like you said, he was a hot commodity for the Packers. I think he came up with in moving to the Bears. I want to say even the Lions, their last go around was a team sniffing around there. So there were NFL teams looking at him. I'm not sure other college programs, but it's kind of come down pretty quick for him.
Yeah, and like you said too, I don't know how he recovers. We've seen other coaches who've gotten into trouble get second chances and sometimes third chances and such, but I can't imagine if it was going to happen, it'd be anytime soon for Pat Fitzgerald at this point.
It'll be a little bit. I did see somebody jokingly say, "Well, get ready for his rehab stint at Alabama."
I saw that too. Yeah.
So it'll be pretty interesting to see this whole thing play out moving forward. You have a guy who came to you from North Dakota State to be your the defensive coordinator now, who is moving into, at least for the time being, run the day-to-day operations. And this is his first year there. And maybe he was chosen because of that.
Yeah.
But it'll be interesting to see. I haven't really seen anything of people entering the transfer portal right now. A little hard when you're a couple weeks away from fall camp starting. Haven't heard of any decommitments yet. Really haven't dove into trying to look at that stuff yet, though. I know a couple weeks ago there was a defensive lineman from Illinois who ended up choosing Northwestern over Wisconsin. So it'll be interesting to see how the 2024 current commits I'm pretty sure, well, can't right now, it's dead period, but once things open up again, I can probably see a few of the recruits decommitting, maybe, and if not already. Like I said, I haven't done anything on that. It's been most of the Google searches have just brought up new articles of rehashing what the actual hazing was. So, like I said, interesting situation. Definitely going to be keeping an eye on it. And you kind of wonder if Northwestern's even going to participate in Big Ten Media Days at the end of the month here.
Yeah, because aren't they?
I know
they're first up or something like that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, that might be one where, for PR purposes, the Big Ten is just like, how about we stay away?
Right.
Let's we'll see you come the season starts.
Sticking with football, but maybe on a more positive note here, going to the Badgers. Badgers picked up a 4-star running back, took one away from the state of Illinois. Darian Dupree over there, RJ. So Badgers stockpiling running backs again, it sounds like.
Yeah, and we actually had 3 guys verbally commit since we last talked. On the first, you had Emilio Agard, 4-star DB out of Philadelphia. You took the number 1 kid from the state of Minnesota, Emerson Mandel, an interior O-lineman, I believe. And then, Darian Dupree, who, watching some of his film, he looks like he's got the capability, and ultimately chose Wisconsin over Michigan. But apparently, when he went on a visit to Michigan, another 4-star or 5-star running back committed that weekend, and Michigan was kind of out of it. So it was really just Wisconsin, really, and he just didn't commit because he wanted to take his other visits. Really liked the offense that Wisconsin will be running. It's one very similar to his offense that he participates in high school, and it's not one where it gives him more open space to work with. And looking at some of his film, I don't think he needs it. He looks like he's going to be a pretty darn good running back. But I think it was Wisconsin's highest running back recruit since Jalen Berger. So hopefully things work out better than that.
Right.
The past so since the calendar turned to July, you got some good talent coming in for Wisconsin, and vaulted them back up the recruiting rankings. I think they're 15 or 16 right now in some of them, and somehow 25th in others. So I don't really know how the industry can be so different on how they view players, but you got different people working for different companies and looking at different things. So, so it's been a good July so far for Wisconsin.
And then was it yesterday? Jordan Turner reinstated to the Badger football team, linebacker. Wasn't he the defensive MVP in their bowl game this past season too?
Yep, yeah, he was. And that was one of those. It was getting speculated on how long he'd be out. He'd be a key piece to the Wisconsin defense. He would have still been allowed to do summer workouts and things like that, but not be able to participate in practices and anything moving forward. But seems whatever issue or issues there were taken care of, I guess. When you're going 117 through Rockford. And then that OWI was a different thing altogether. So it's 2 separate incidences, but we'll see. I'm not sure how or when or if we'll ever find out how things shook out there, but he was reinstated for whatever the Wisconsin football program and athletic department felt he did was an appropriate time. So I think it was about 2 week and a half that he was suspended. I guess we'll. I'm pretty sure this will just be something that they move forward with, and you'll just let any opposing fans kind of voice their opinion on it when you go to away games.
RJ Cardinal, Badger analyst, joining us here this morning. So, I mean, we're halfway through July. Is camp coming up here? Is that the beginning of August? Can you remind me on the time frame on that?
Yeah, I want to say I thought I heard August 2nd or 3rd.
Okay.
Is going to be camp start.
And that's when they're going to Platteville over there?
Yep.
Okay.
So they'll spend the first week, and they're calling it closed practices. So I don't know if that means closed to everybody or closed to the media. The different definitions of closed practices. Usually when you have that, it means nobody's allowed in, even the media. But it's one where, at least talking to our sports director here, he seems to think it's just closed to the public and media will still have access for that first week. So yeah, we'll see how that is moving forward. And I mean, like we talked about it when they kind of announced it, I think it'll be a good thing, where you really get the new coaching staff, new players in there, existing players. It'll really be the first time outside of spring ball where they'll be able to go and get to know each other, and really get to know what the program will be about moving forward. I mean, we saw in spring ball all the coaching talks, the videos they're putting out, all that, and I think that's more or less, letting the public also know, but having little to no distractions in Platteville is one where I think it'll be a good week for the team to really get the bond in there to come back here, where, I mean, it's there's no doubt distractions will be put back in place once you're on campus, and finish out camp and get ready for the Buffalo game coming up in first weekend of September.
Yeah, it's going to be coming here pretty quick, man. Holy moly. So, all right, dude. Well, hey, appreciate the time as always, bud. You have a good rest of your week, and we'll catch up next week, and maybe we'll have some actual like football stuff on the field or sports stuff on the field to be talking about, not issues going on within the conference at this point.
Yeah, I mean, slowest week in sports right now. So, really scraping the barrel, and it just so happens, Northwestern plops something on your plate, and I guess, sucks to be them. But yeah, we'll talk to you next week, and we'll see you then.
You got it, buddy. There you go. There's RJ Cardinal, our Badger analyst this morning. Tell you what, let's take a quick break here, and then we'll wrap things up here on this Tuesday morning. Got any last-second grind my gears that you want to send on over? Hit us up with those texts. We'll be back in just a few minutes. Josh is picking Mark McGuire, Sammy Sosa, Griffey, Bagwell, Bonds for his, I guess, all-time, or go-to home run lineup. If we go from 1990 to the current, I like that lineup. That's in my wheelhouse right there. So got a few minutes left if you want to send yours on over to, but definitely we'll say Griffey Jr. has been on everybody's list so far. Whether it's been a full-on 5-person list or maybe just 2 or 3, Griffey has been on every single one. No surprise, right? No surprise there. All right, let's wrap things up, cover some bases and such. We talked a little All-Star game tonight for Major League Baseball. The majority of you picking that the Major League Baseball All-Star game is the best one, or at least your favorite one out there. So, again, no surprise. I was kind of curious what would be number 2, and it looks like it's kind of even between the NHL and the NBA over there. But nobody, at least who texted in, from what I saw, maybe I missed it, picked the Pro Bowl as anybody's favorite or anything like that. So, home run derby last night, we asked the question, do you still follow the home run derby? Do you still pay attention to the home run derby? Do you still get into it? You know, I would say it was about 60-40, saying that 60% still follow it, still like it, still enjoy it. I had one person, let's see if I can find it here. This was from Dave, who said, I wish a few years ago they didn't change the rules. I wish they would just make it pretty simple. 10 balls, 10 hits, move on from there. Okay. That's from Dave on our texting line over there. But about 60-40, I would say, again, is probably in favor or still pay attention to the home run derby right now. So we talked some NFC North. We are just a couple weeks away from training camp opening, believe it or not. Somebody had asked me earlier in the program if I was heading over to family night. I am not heading to family night. It's Saturday, right? August 5th. One reason is because, well, we got the Casper Classic the day before, and I know I'm probably going to be exhausted afterwards like I was last year. But I am not heading to family night this year. I'm hoping to head over to one of the very few open practices that they do have this year, and taking the little guy over there to maybe he says he wants to take his bike, but we'll see if he actually still wants to. He gets a little nervous around new people, so maybe we just partake in a practice and such. But hoping to maybe do that coming up here soon when they first open up practice and such. But family night, I will not be going. Speaking of the Casper Classic, little birdie told me yesterday that our good friends from Mike's Star Market, they're going to be donating some snack sticks for the golfers out there too. So, all right, Mike's Star Market is aboard. So you better get your teams in. We did open up a couple more spots for your teams, morning and afternoon sessions. So you better head to our website, sportstalk1051.com. Get your teams in, get your teams signed up, 2-person teams for just $90, so $45 per person. You get 6 total free drink tickets, courtesy of our friends from Park Ridge Distributing. Free lunch included from our friends from Hy-Vee. Carts, obviously your golf on there too. Swag bag, we got some gifts in your swag bag over there. Plus, I mean, we've got the raffle prizes too. We've got the Willie Adames autographed jersey from the Brewers, Bryce Terang autographed baseball from the Brewers, Packers donated football, G-Man purchased some jerseys as well. We got some other awesome stuff from some local vendors over here too. So title belts, of course, to the top team. Those are, I'm staring at them right now in the studio, those title belts there. So, but just a casual, low-key, fun outing. Hopefully we can see a lot of you there on August 4th at gorgeous Princeton Valley. So don't call Princeton Valley to sign up. You got to do it online at our website, sportstalk1051.com. Make it easy over there. All right. But hopefully we'll see you there. Big thanks to, again, all of our sponsors so far. If you are interested in sponsoring yet or want to drop something off for a raffle prize, again, all proceeds are going to Backyard Dreams go into Backyard Dreams. So, but if you are interested in sponsoring or donating for raffle, don't forget you still got some time for that. Just hit me up and I'll get you hooked up with the proper people. But want to give a special shout out, special thanks to all of our sponsors so far. I mentioned a couple of them, but Hy-Vee, Carpet City Flooring Center, Jason and the entire crew over there. We got Economy Furniture, Dave and his staff, Dodge, Toyson Ford, Mr. Craig Toyson over there, Service Master, Chippewa Valley Park Ridge Distributing, Edward Jones Financial Advisor, Kelsey Nikolai, Myron Construction, Sandbar and Grill, Pro Valley Auto Glass, Ray's Place, Mike's Star Market, and of course, Princeton Valley for allowing us to hang out over there and do that outing. We will be doing a show over there too. We're going to be doing a show over there that morning like we did last year. So hopefully the weather is going to be nice. Perfect last year, sitting out on the deck and doing it. And we got some celebrities there. You know, Dr. Crow is going to be playing. Of course, Brandon's going to be playing. Surveyor Sam's going to be playing. The Hall of Famer G-Man's going to be playing. So we'll have some local celebrities over there too. So, okay, we got a couple minutes left. So tomorrow we'll do some stock reports. I want to hear from you, though. Stock reports, whose stocks are rising, whose stocks are falling. I think a lot of stocks falling right now are Northwestern football, as we were just talking about with RJ Cardinal there. So we'll hit that up. We'll take a trip around the sports world, a little road trip around the sports world. Kind of a quiet week with Major League Baseball on All-Star break right now, but we'll get that game in the books tonight, and then start to look ahead to the second half there. We got training camp opening up in a couple weeks. NBA free agency still kind of going on right now too. Summer League ball going on there too. And tomorrow, I believe the Coupe Championships, National Championships, starting off in Eau Claire. Is that tomorrow, the 12th? I think it is. Yeah. Reminder, we chatted with the world champion and the national champion Coupe player. Was that a week or two ago already? But if you missed that with the national championships coming up, again, it's up on the Man Cave podcast. Go back and listen to previous episodes, all on your favorite podcasting platforms or at sportstalk1051.com. So, yeah, that's up there. I want to listen to that. So, all right, shot clock's going to cut me off here in about a minute. So get those stock reports in. Send those babies on over. I want you all to play along and give me your thoughts, your analysis, your opinions, and that good stuff. We'll probably throw in, might do sort of a training camp countdown sort of thing now that it's going to be like 2 weeks away starting. Training camp opens the 26th, that Wednesday. I know, is it the 26th or 25th? I have to double check my dates here. It's in a couple weeks, but I think we're going to kick off our training camp countdown little thing I got planned starting tomorrow as well. So we'll hit that up and then talk a little bit more baseball as the All-Star break will be kind of coming to a close after the game tomorrow night. And then we can kind of look ahead to the quote-unquote second half of the season. Trade deadline is going to be the big question mark out there. Ohtani going to be traded? Brewers, Twins, are they going to make moves or not? Who knows? All right, well, you kiddos have a good Tuesday. We'll be back at it again tomorrow morning, 6 a.m.